Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your 420th episode of Mox Talks. I was gonna do, what's your problem show tonight. I think we'll get to that. We'll do a what's your problem show tonight. I saw this thing about the misinformation panel that Congress and Joe Biden are forming. And I find it interesting that they're forming this right before Elon Musk takes over Twitter. And I don't know if it's planning to be some kind of a censorship step in where they go, oh yeah, this is a lie, you have to take it down because we're the government and we're in control of the fucking social media, except for when Donald Trump gets fucking censored. And then, somebody else is in control. So, fuck you, Joe Biden, fuck you, Congress. And I couldn't mean that more wholeheartedly. Now, as far as the word dissent, I spelled it wrong, I know, and then I knew it was spelled wrong, and I looked it up on the Google, and I was like, it took me 3 tries to figure out exactly how to spell the word, which I know, I should know how to spell it, but I've always had a problem with spelling. That being said, I spelled the word wrong, took me 3 times to look it up on the Google. I changed it, and then it didn't get saved. So, and I did that immediately upon making the title. I just wanted to publish the show so people knew that it was coming up. And then I went in and I changed the title properly immediately, and for some reason it didn't save. Now, I think we should be headed towards a bong hit here any second. But as many of you may know, freedom of speech is incredibly important to me. And when I see this misinformation bullshit, which, you know how every year Webster's dictionary has a word of the year, I cannot believe that misinformation has not been a word, because it is obviously the word of the year last year or the year before. So why they would not have used it, except for not to remind you of freedom of speech being squashed around the world. Hunter Biden laptop, the deadly plague, it goes on and on. And it's so weird that they, I was thinking about it, and they have this disinformation phrase. Misinformation, disinformation, misinformation, disinformation, same thing, more or less. They have this phrase, right, misinformation. And I was thinking, after September 11th, right, there was all these people that were saying, no, this is incorrect, there's no way the towers came down in this way, the towers fell straight down into their footprint, and nobody said this is misinformation. And nobody went, we have to censor all this shit off the internet. It was, these are conspiracy theorists, these are conspiracy nut jobs. Which is different than disinformation, right? Oh, well, these people are conspiracy nut jobs, so don't pay any attention to them. That doesn't mean that the information's misinformation, like they've been telling us all through the deadly plague, all through the Hunter Biden election censorship. They've been telling us this is misinformation. After September 11th, it wasn't misinformation. It was conspiracy theories, right? So, and they were allowed to be spoken, and they weren't taken down, they weren't censored, because that's not what America does. That's not what the United States is about, is censorship, okay? And we've talked about that again and again, and it's very important to me, and you know it. And this is the reason why the title is the title, because I've been dealing with this censorship thing long before there was a YouTube. Okay, it's in fact, the president of the ACLU was my attorney for a very short period of time. Hi, Jackie Cat. Because of the whole free speech issue, and that was way before there was a YouTube. Now, George W. Bush, and 9/11 and Iraq. This was all incredible amounts of misinformation from the White House, from the Pentagon, from the mainstream media. And they all joined together to try and poison the minds of America that we have to go into war. We have to go to war in Iraq, right? This was their main priority after September 11th. And then they realized they couldn't immediately go to Iraq, so they went into Afghanistan. But the plan was to go into Iraq. And the plans were drawn up way before September 11th. But all of this dissent language was allowed. And now they're saying, oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. What the fuck country do you think this is? Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark.
What's up, G?
Well, I saw the headline of your Max News video.
Uh-huh.
So I just want to say an opinion about that.
Mm-hmm. You have an opinion about everything, Manny. You know that?
Yes.
Good.
That's why it's called an opinion show.
That's the reason. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be, bud.
I think what Biden is doing, I think he's doing it on purpose so he can be his own race. I think he doesn't want to be president anymore.
Doesn't want what?
To be president anymore.
So you think that? So you think that he's doing this to alienate him from voters? Is that right?
Yes. Think about it though. Like the way he was put into power, he didn't want to be president though. The party pressured him to apply to be a candidate. Remember that?
Who pressured him? Who pressured him?
The party, the donors.
You know what? I think that there was a lot of other candidates. It's just not possible that he was elected president, okay? The guy ran for president 4 fucking times and was never elected. 4-time losers do not become president of the United States. There's something very wrong here. He took Kamala Harris as his vice president, who called him a racist during the debates in the lead up to the presidential election, and then he takes her in front of the whole fucking world. She called him a racist, and then he takes her as his vice presidential candidate. Okay, it's all and by the way, Kamala Harris, who dropped out of the primaries immediately, could not even get 1% support from the black community. Okay, you grab a vice president because you know you're going to get support from this group or that group or whichever. You're going to gain more support by saying this is my vice president. He did exactly the opposite. He got somebody who told the whole world that he's a fucking racist. Does this make sense to anyone?
It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah.
She didn't even get a single delegate or a super delegate. Not even a single one.
Right.
Think about that for a second though.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think he didn't want to be a president now. He was put in by donors, by the party, because they don't want the progressives. And I think what's going on right now, and this is just my own personal opinion on this, I think they're doing this on purpose and they're going to blame it on progressives. Like, look at this. It was the progressives, these crazy lunatics. Progressives don't work. Fuck off.
I think it's entirely possible when you think about the cigar-filled room and all of that, and these people making fucking chess moves throughout the whole world. I think that's entirely possible to get everyone against the idea of putting another Democrat in there. That does make sense.
Yeah, the thing is, like, who are they going to put in when Biden is gone? It sounds to me like it's going to be Trump. Or DeSantis.
Gonna be DeSantis, dude. It's not gonna be Trump. Trump is not running. Get it through your fucking head. Trump is not running, people. Stop letting the mainstream media scare you with that bullshit. Just like the deadly plague, just like the war in Ukraine, just like nuclear holocaust. Trump is not running.
Can you explain why? Or can you give your
Yes, he's not running because he likes being the kingmaker. Okay, if he becomes president, then he's not going to be able to be this thing where, you know, all the media people come to him. He's already had a problem with media people. He's already had a problem with everybody. He doesn't want to go through that again, Manny. More than that, even so, he doesn't want to put his family through it again. Okay, so He likes the title. He likes the title of being kingmaker. So he can go into DeSantis' corner and take all of his fucking voters and go, here you go, and make sure you don't forget me once you're in the White House. So I don't see him for 1 second even thinking about running for president again.
Well, I do agree to a certain extent that he's a kingmaker, though. And he's going to be a kingmaker until, like, the midterms. Because, like, if you actually follow out the GOP politics now, like, there are really people that's really infighting to see who's going to be, like, who's going to out from one another to get the Trump's approval. What is it called? Trump's...
endorsement?
Endorsement, yes, that's the word I was looking for. Just follow out the GOP politics, like, GOP side. Like, they're doing some crazy gimmicks, and some people are writing each other out in the primaries. And once you get that Trump endorsement, you're fucking made it. It's like the...
That's what I'm saying.
The Willy Wonka factory.
He likes being the guy with the golden touch, dude. That's what he really likes. So I just can't imagine him running for president again. All it means is aggravation to him and his family.
We'll see, Mark. I think Ivanka and the Trump Don Jr. should stay away from politics. The other guy, no, was it Don Jr.? He has 3 kids though. I think Don Jr. should stay in politics, but there was the other guy. Forgot his name. There's Tiffany, there's Ivanka, and there's 2 guys. One of them is Don Jr. Don Jr. should stay in politics, but there was another guy.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I think Don Jr. should stay in politics. Ivanka should just...
They're all going to be... At this point, they're all going to be floating around politics, Manny. It's even the women, and even though they don't want to be, they're just... Their dad's the kingmaker, and they're going to be... Their opinions are going to be sought after and stuff like that. So, even though they don't want to be... they're going to be involved. Although Don Jr. obviously wants to be, and a couple of the women want to be too. Yeah.
I think he wants to be like a senator or something. Though. That's my gut feeling that he wants to run for like.
It's possible. Again, you have to think about what the family went through as having this high profile political position. And that's probably going to be the main consideration when they consider whether or not they should run for office. You know what I mean? They don't want to put their families through that again.
Well, yeah, I agree. But we'll see. I think he's going to be able to make it until like after the midterms. When the midterms just ends and he takes the waters, he's probably going to make a decision whether or not he's going to run. My gut feeling is he's going to run again. He still has another 4 years.
There's just no way, Manny. But I appreciate your opinion, and it's always welcome here.
All right, man. Just want to say hi.
And it's good to hear from you.
All right, talk to you later.
Okay, bye. That's our buddy Manny from the east side, and the phone actually hung up that time, so if you'd like to call, the number's 805-669-6397, 805 News. It's right there on the screen, people. Take a breath. Actually, we're about ready to take a bong hit. Are you ready to take a bong hit? It's 7:15 already. We're already 15 minutes into the show, and we haven't taken a bong hit. What kind of torture is this, Mox? I think that we will be doing a bong hit momentarily. Beautiful people. So if you're not ready, you want to get your little puffing device ready, and momentarily we'll have a nice fat puff together, okay? Because all you beautiful people showed up on time, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. Even Manny. No, Manny, I'm glad you're part of the show, bro. I really and truly am, and I hope you get that from the way that I talk to all of you, is including Valerie, in case any of you didn't hear Valerie's phone call from last night. I really do appreciate all of your phone calls, and I really do want to have a conversation played out all the way through. You know, Valerie hung up on me. Lots of people hang up on me. But I really do want to play the conversation now. I really do want to hear what you have to say. I really do want to comment back and forth on what you have to say, on what I have to say. That's what having conversation is, as opposed to just typing stuff. I'm not saying that's not a conversation. It's a very different interaction than people talking. Typing text is a very different interaction than people actually speaking to each other. And that's the reason the telephone number is up there on the screen, so that we can have a conversation. I like that idea. I really like that idea. I'm ready to smoke some weed. I really like that idea. So are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm gonna heat up this bong, so you got just a minute to get ready. And I can't tell you thank you enough for tuning in, because it's always better when you're here. I know your time is very, very valuable, and it's quite remarkable that so many of you share your valuable time with me. So thank you very much for that. And like I said, I can't thank you enough, but I can do a bong hit for you. So this bong hit is for all the beautiful people who show up on time. Okay? Let's heat up this sucker so we have a nice fat puff together. You want to have a puff? Are you ready? Are you ready? I am so ready, people. I can't tell you how ready I am. So I'm wearing my hat tonight because I've been gardening. The landscaper was here today, and I've been gardening all day. Although I did garden for about 5 hours last night. So I have my gardening hat on because it's a nice change of pace. Actually, it's warm enough to where I don't need to be wearing sleeves today, so I am wearing my hat, my garden hat. And my backyard is all ready to have plants moved out into it. And nice. And that was for all of you wonderful people who show up on time to have a bong hit with Moxie. We're going to do one right away. Do my best to get a bong hit in right away, because this way, I think the title, when you're saying the title, you mean me writing the title as a hangable offense, or the people who are trying to enact trying to squash dissent. That is a hangable offense. You tell me. I don't know. The telephone number is right there on the screen, Tommy. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about having a big fat puff. Thank you. We're gonna we're gonna have a big fat puff at the beginning of most of the shows. I'm gonna try my best to get it in the first 20 minutes or so. Get it in. I'll try my best to get it in. I can do this. Just give me a minute. I can do this. My brain works in mysterious ways. At least to me. So, do you have plans for the weekend? I have plans for the weekend. I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to do gardening. Last night. I put 10 seeds into soil last night. 10 seeds into soil last night. So they're waiting to pop. I watered the 4 auto flowers that I currently have that are about 2 weeks old, and I lowered the light. I think that was a mistake, the autoflower's light. What are you doing to us? So I raised the light back up today. I know you don't give a fuck. Where were we? Dissent in the United States is your God-given right. It doesn't even matter if it's the United States. We recognize these truths to be self-evident. These truths, they're not giving you the right to freedom of speech. They're saying you already have it. It's just been taken from you by evil government after evil government after evil government. We recognize that you have that right to freedom of speech. As being the big-brained, upright, opposable thumb, we can make any goddamn thing happen on this planet that we can imagine, top of the fucking food chain. We hold these rights to be self-evident. Right? The right to freedom of speech, the right to express yourself the way you see fit, isn't just a nice thing. It's mandatory. If you don't have the right to express yourself as you see fit, you are a slave. Basically, you're a slave. Because you're not able to make the things that you want to make happen in the world. Most likely, you don't even know what you want to make happen in the world, because your world, from going to this world where there's all these options, now we only know about these options because you're not allowed to know about those options anymore. So there's lots of people that will go through their lives and not even realize that freedom of speech is an option. It's not an option. It's an inherent right. You're born with the ability to express yourself in a unique way, and in this audible way that's like, I don't want to say no other creatures do on the planet, because I don't believe that. I think that I think it would be very shallow to say that no other creatures, communicate in anywhere as complex as humans. I don't know that. I don't know that to be a fact. What I can tell you is that, humans have, I don't know, a bazillion words to say. Well, they have like 10,000 sentences to say almost the exact same thing with little tiny variations. But they have a bazillion words to say what needs to be said. It's not, all those words aren't there to pick and choose from, and you're only allowed to use these words, okay? And anybody who tells you this word isn't unacceptable, they're lying, okay? Maybe in that circle it's unacceptable, but as your inherent right, we hold these truths to be self-evident, as your inherent right, you have the right to freedom of speech. It's not a right. It's not a right. It's this thing that you're born with. Nobody's giving this to you. You're born with it. It's not just a matter of having it. It's a matter of the incredible importance of it. I talked about revolution and stuff, but not just revolution, dissent is impossible without the freedom of speech. That's the reason that the title is this way. The Congress and Biden are talking about, forming a misinformation panel, which means we're going to squash dissent before it happens, before it gets rolling. No more insurrections for us, people. Well, I'll tell you right now, motherfuckers, there's 1 million insurrectionists out there just waiting, just like me, for the minute to take this goddamn government down and finish it once and for all, so some other piece of shit government doesn't feel the need to do it. Okay? Take a rabid dog and you put it down. You don't wait for someone else to do it. And that's where we're at, people. That weed is so good. I love doing this. I would really love doing this if we had 1,000 people in here. That being said, again, I can't thank you enough for showing up, spending your valuable time here with us. So, and I mean that. It's always better when you're here. Where was I? Dissent. And these truths that are self-evident. The right to defend yourself and your family and your property. Of course you have that right. The government's not giving you that right. You were born with it. Okay? And if anything, the government's doing their best to take that right away. They don't want you to have guns. They're starting by limiting the size of magazines. Oh, look, you can only have this many bullets in your gun. Criminals don't care what the law says. They can have all the bullets that they want. And sometimes a few extra bullets is going to make a huge difference. Not a lot of the time, but sometimes I'm pretty sure that it would. And you don't want to be at a disadvantage against criminals. And that's what our government is doing. They're making you at a disadvantage. The good law-abiding citizens of this country, they're taking away your freedom of speech. We've already seen it happen. The Hunter Biden laptop, the deadly plague that they wouldn't let us talk about. Thousands of doctors and nurses fired because they try to communicate about the bullshit, which is COVID-19. But we don't have that right anymore. We weren't given it by the government, okay? The government, again, we hold these rights to be self-evident. You're born with this right. The government's the one taking it away. So let's recognize evil where evil exists. Okay? The government wants to limit your ability to protect yourself. The government wants to limit your ability as to what you can say. Let's recognize that evil. These rights are self-evident. You were born with them. No goddamn piece of shit government would ever give them to you. This government did not do that. And the last thing they're doing is trying to let you keep these fucking rights that they swore a solemn oath to protect. The last thing they want is to protect those clearly. Okay? And I think part of the reason they had to kick Trump out of the White House is because hopefully they could contain all the bullshit. You know, once Trump has another 4 years, it doesn't matter what he says. All right, and he should have said, re-elect me and I'll pardon Julian Assange on my first fucking day in the goddamn White House. And there's no way they would have been able to pretend like he didn't win the election. But he's not smart enough to do that. All you people who think Donald Trump isn't a fucking genius, he could be in the White House right now. Maybe he's part of it. Maybe he was the controlled opposition. And they said, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to rally up all these people. You know, yeah, we have this election fraud. Everybody knows it's election fraud. We need you to rally these people to come and attack our government. And if you do that, we can secure our government in such a way that the people will never be able to stand up against us ever again. That is the evil that is the United States government. It must be taken down just like a rabid dog. Because that's what it is. And I'm here to help make that happen. I'm here to have a conversation, to start a conversation, to push a conversation as far as we can, getting as many people as possible involved to take this government down. It has to be done. Or some other government will do it. This government is a rabid dog. You can't just let a rabid dog roam around in your fucking neighborhood. Okay? Look what we're doing in the Ukraine. Okay? $1 billion a week to the Ukraine in assistance, which is fucking weapons, so that some asshole war profiteer can make fuck ton of money. I'm sorry, some asshole war profiteer who already has a fuck ton of money make even a bigger fuck ton of money. Okay? And now, $1 billion a week. Oh, we want to send $33 billion there in assistance. You know, that's our government. Those billions of dollars belong to your children. That's not in some fucking fat ass piece of shit pocket, because they make war for money. Man, next time I get in a fight, I hope I'm this pumped up. I'm serious. This government's got to go. It's pure evil. And I don't know how anyone can see it as anything but. How can you see them taking $33,000 worth of weapons into the Ukraine and act like that's the right thing to do? All that means is that so many more people are going to die. So many more. And they talk about how Russia's out of control and this. You know why the war's still going on? Because the United States flooded the place with weapons of death and destruction and fucking mercenaries. Okay? Soldiers of fortune who fucking get paid $1,000 a day, and we call them volunteers. Just like aid to the Ukraine. Volunteers being shipped off in the fucking... Who wants to make $1,000 a day? Volunteer. I volunteer. This is our government. Are you good with that? Are you going to let this rabid dog wander around the world spreading death and destruction? Or are we going to take it down once and for all? Okay? We've watched the bullshit. Hunter Biden laptop. The deadly plague. We're all going to die in a nuclear holocaust. Of course we are. Because you keep building more fucking nuclear weapons. Of course we're going to die. What do you think is going to happen when you build weapons like that? What do you think's going to happen when they ship $30 billion worth of weapons over to the Ukraine? Because I can tell you what's going to happen. The war is going to expand in a very, very large way. And all of us are to blame. No, maybe. What now? All of us are to blame because we let this rabid dog of that we know is completely full of shit and criminals. We let this rabid dog run around the earth spreading death and destruction for the profit of diseased individuals, sick, diseased individuals who want to spread their disease everywhere they can. And they must be taken down with this goddamn piece of shit rabid dog government. They may be even worse because they're the ones that control the government. And we have to take them down too. Where the fuck are they? Let's do it now. Every penny seized. Every single penny from their families seized. Real estate, fucking cars, boats, clothing, every single penny seized, put in a fund for veterans. And those motherfuckers, not their families, but those motherfuckers go to jail. And their families get to live destitute and in shame. Just like their parents deserve. That's how you deserve your families to live. And if I have a single fucking thing to do with it, you will spend the rest of your life in prison, and your families will be fucking live in fucking ridicule and oh my God. I'm just saying, people. I couldn't believe this more wholeheartedly. This government's out of control. If we don't take it down, another government's going to. When they ship $30 billion worth of weapons over to the Ukraine, all that's going to happen is that the war is going to expand, which means then we'll need to ship another $60 billion worth of weapons over there because the war has gotten so much bigger. Know this. $30 billion in weapons shipped to the Ukraine will only make the war bigger. Anybody with an IQ of 20 or more should be able to figure that out, I'm pretty sure. I'm not the smartest person in the world. Nobody's explained this to me. It's just fucking obvious, people. There, I feel much better now. So who's looking forward to a fun weekend? I wish I could spend the weekend here in the Ukraine. I just feel like it would be such a nice place to kick back and smoke a fat one. You know, I mean, we've been looking at this place for over a couple of months. Look at the trees, look at that sunrise. Just looks like a really nice place to be, doesn't it? And here's what's going to happen. $33 billion in weapons is going to make all this peaceful territory into rubble and dead bodies. And that's what your government is going to do, not the Russian government. If our government was not involved heavily from the very beginning of this would be over. It would have been over in 30 days or less. But because the United States keeps shipping in volunteers and aid to the tune of billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars. Next week, they're going to send $30 billion worth of aid to the Ukraine. And it's just going to make it worse. And making it worse, again, should show what a rabid piece of shit government we have. Because if I can figure out that it's going to make it worse, then they know. And that means that's their plan. Which makes our government a rabid piece of shit that needs to be put down. Put down hard. Put down now. Or some other country will have to do it. You can't just let a rabid dog roam around the fucking planet spreading disease and death and destruction. And that's who the U.S. government is. And you and I deserve so much better. And the world deserves better than this piece of shit government, rabid dog government, that's roaming around the world spreading death and destruction. And it's only going to get worse. I don't see it getting any better. Which means we have to do something. We don't have any time left. You know? And the more time we waste on this, the more they dig in. Okay? They after this fucking January 6th bullshit, they're digging so fucking deep and solid right now. That doesn't mean we can't take this piece of shit government down. It does not. We don't even have to fire a bullet or raid a building. We don't have to do that. All we have to do is stop participating. Okay? Stop buying anything but groceries. Only fill your car with gasoline if you need to go to the grocery store. Only buy stuff that you absolutely need. And stop going to work. Stop going to work. Boom. Stop going to work. We own this government. We own this country. And if we just acted like we the people, it would be obvious that we own the people, that we own this country, and every single one of those pieces of shit in our government would be terrified beyond imagination. So this is why we're so divided, because we have all the power otherwise, and the piece of shit government would have been taken down long ago. And again, it doesn't have to be any kind of a violent event. All we have to do is sit down and no longer cooperate with the status quo. Things change now. And if we shut down everything, don't go to work. Don't go to work. Make sure you got, 2 weeks worth of groceries in your fridge. And we are not going to work, okay? We are going to stay at home, watch cartoons and kung fu movies, get high, and enjoy life the way it was meant to be enjoyed. The way I want to. And the government will fucking crumble, okay? Because we came together to make this happen. 2 weeks. We shut down fucking everything. Now, sure, they shut down restaurants and they shut down bars and I guess like clothing stores, right? But there's all these other things that are essential, right? If we shut down all the cannabis stores in Washington State for 2 weeks, we would seriously have the government's attention then. Let alone whatever else. Okay? We own it. We have the property. We have the power. This is our country, not the government's country. We own the government. It's our government, our country. Fuck that government. That government needs to be flushed down a goddamn toilet full of shit. Toilet. Because that's what that government deserves. $30 billion. $33 billion. Gonna be shipped off to the Ukraine. I'm sorry, 33 billion of your children's and your grandchildren's dollars are going to be shipped off to the Ukraine in order to spread death and destruction. Doesn't that make you proud? Isn't that what all you supporters of the Ukraine want? More death and destruction? Baby, you are just eating that shit up, aren't you? Yeah, more weapons to the Ukraine. Fuck yeah. Let's make sure that the whole goddamn country is reduced to rubble. Look at these fucking cameras. Do you see rubble? Do you see fucking shells falling down on the cars that are driving by? Do you see death and destruction being spread? Okay? When we drop $30 billion of weapons in there, there is no other choice than to expand the war. Because they're trying to fucking take us out. We can't let that happen because they will move into our territory. We must defend our territory. Gonna get bigger. They know it's gonna get bigger. It's what they want. They want to. It's like I'm saying about the rich, about the war profiteers, how not only do they need to go to jail for the rest of their lives, but their families need to live destitute and you know, in shame, right? And the facts are, this is what the government, the U.S. government, wants for your family. Because it's your family, in your family's name, that they murdered 1 million innocent Iraqis. 1 million innocent Iraqis murdered with your tax dollar in your name. And at some point, it's going to catch up. And it may be your kids who have to live in shame. And certainly, if we start spending $30 billion a day in the Ukraine, they're going to live destitute and in shame. One of these days, because it's being done in your name. And when you come to the realization that all these millions of people died and we didn't do anything to stop it, in our names, with our money, how can you not live in shame? How can you not see that spending our money on weapons of death and destruction, spreading it around the world, how can you not see that one day, if not now, all of your children are going to live, you know, we're already seeing the shelves in the grocery store having empty spaces all the time, right? I couldn't buy frozen mac and cheese for like 2 minutes. No, I only look for the mac and cheese for a minute and I don't really like it. But I couldn't get Rice Krispies for 2 months. I wanted to make Rice Krispie treats really bad and I could not get Rice Krispies for 2 months. So all I'm saying is that we're already seeing these supply chain issues and we're beginning to see the prices go out of control. And this is 100% because of your government. Doesn't have anything to do with Russia. Not a fucking thing. Okay? The prices going out of control, the shelves being emptied, has absolutely nothing to do with Russia. Has everything to do with our government. If our government wasn't running around the world and spending billions of dollars on these fuckwoods on the other half of the fucking globe, do you think the shelves would be empty in this country? Do you think that we wouldn't have our inflation totally under control because we're not way the fuck over leveraged? Every penny we can possibly get, every goddamn penny in the Social Security funds fucking spent? These people are evil. They're doing it in your name. You deserve better. The people of the world deserve better. You deserve to understand the truth. Again, the shelves in your grocery store being emptied, no toilet paper, oh my God, it's not because of fucking Russia now, is it? It's because our government isn't taking care of us. Our government is too busy worried about the rest of the fucking world. Okay? Toilet paper. How fucking hard is it to keep toilet paper on the shelves in the world's only superpower? I guess not, huh? This is our government. This is our piece of shit government, our rabid dog government, who couldn't give a fuck about you and yours. I think it's time for another bong hit. I really do. Don't you think it's time for another? I think it's time for another bong hit. I really do. Let's see. We have a video about the panel of disinformation, or is it misinformation? Disinformation, misinformation. Are they the same thing? It seems to me disinformation, I'm not sure if it's disinformation or misinformation, but it seems to me that disinformation is something that's done purposely, like to send someone the wrong direction. Someone asks for directions and you go like, yeah, it's over there, knowing that it's this way. Misinformation, I think, is different. It might not be. Misinformation can be completely accidental. Like you think that you're saying the right thing, but somehow, you somehow you screwed it up. You thought that the shit was this way, but it's over that way. You just screw. But that's not disinformation. That's misinformation. I didn't mean to disinform you. I did not. I just misinformed you on accident. I don't know. You tell me. Okay, the disinformation panel. That can't be right. Disinformation panel. That can't be right. All right, let me see which one we got where. I think the disinformation panel's here. Hold on.
Overseas now, Russian forces are gaining momentum in eastern Ukraine, targeting several areas with heavy fire. Experts believe Vladimir Putin is pushing for a major battlefield success ahead of an important Russian holiday. In just a moment, I'll speak with State Department spokesman Ned Price about the latest U.S. efforts to help Ukrainians fight back. First, correspondent Trey Yanks is in Kyiv again tonight with our report.
Black smoke rises up from the skyline of the Ukrainian capital. Earlier tonight, 2 Russian missiles slammed into a weapons manufacturing plant. While Russia continues to target cities across Ukraine, the United States is stepping in to provide even more military support to the Eastern European country. If approved, President Biden's $33 billion aid request to Congress will give the Ukrainians $20 billion for things like drones, artillery, and other heavy systems.
Every day the Ukrainians pay for the price, and the price they pay is with their lives for this fight. So we need to contribute arms, funding, ammunition, and the economic support to make their courage and sacrifice have purpose so they can continue this fight.
Officials in Moscow continue to blame Kyiv for ongoing escalation, despite clear signs that Russia is pushing forward with an offensive.
The continued provocation of Ukraine to carry out strikes against Russian objects will invariably lead to a harsh response from Russia.
Those accusations come as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres visits Kyiv. He met today with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss a variety of topics, including a proposal to evacuate an estimated 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers and 1,000 civilians from a steel plant in the besieged city of Mariupol.
Ukraine is ready for immediate negotiations on the evacuation of people from Azovstal, as well as to ensure the implementation of any agreements reached.
The Ukrainian leader has seen firsthand what Russian forces can do to the civilian population. Innocent people like Vitaly, a blind Ukrainian man we met in March, losing everything. His home reduced to rubble after being hit by a Russian shell. Miraculously, Vitaly survived and had a simple but powerful plea. Sir, please help me.
Ukraine's prosecutor general today says that she is investigating the crimes that took place around this city during the Russian occupation. She announced that at least 10 Russian soldiers have been identified and accused of torture in a village next to Vitaly's. Brett.
Thank you. Joining us tonight is State Department spokesman Ned Price. Ned, thanks for being here.
Brett, good to see you.
The question I get asked most is this: how does this end? From your point of view, how does this end?
Well, it's going to end with a Ukraine that is independent, sovereign, whole, and free. We are going to see to that. And it's a strategy that's demonstrably working. It's working towards that end goal of a Ukraine that is independent, whole, and free. And I say that because, Brett, we're now more than 2 months into this war. We have every reason to believe that Vladimir Putin, when he sent his forces into Ukraine on February 24th, thought that he would be the de facto leader of Ukraine within days or even hours of the start of that invasion. Russia is losing this war. Russia has lost the Battle of Kyiv. Russia has been forced out of key areas, and they've been forced to narrow their military aims from the whole country to now the south and the east.
Is it the position of the U.S. government to get Russia out of Ukraine completely, or the pre-February 24th borders of Russia in Ukraine?
It is the position of this government that we will support what it is that the Ukrainian government seeks to do. We believe, as the Ukrainian government does, that this war can only be ended through diplomacy and dialogue. That's why we've been with our Ukrainian partners all along, supporting their efforts to engage in good faith diplomacy. We certainly haven't seen that from the Russians. So in the meantime, what we're trying to do is to strengthen the hand of our Ukrainian partners at the negotiating table.
Well, let me try it a different way. A year from now, what does the map of Ukraine look like?
Look, Brett, this conflict, we're going to try and bring it to an end just as soon as we can. And in the meantime, we are going to support our Ukrainian partners. They want to have discussions about how they can bring this war to an end, how they can bring this brutality to a close. It's not for us to say what borders should be, where they should be drawn. Importantly, it's also not for Vladimir Putin to decide where borders or how borders should be drawn.
So what do you say to people who look at this dollar figure today, $33 billion, and they look back to $13.6 billion before, and they say that's a lot of money? How long is the U.S. going to pour money into Ukraine without a tangible end that we can see?
I would say picture the alternative. Picture the alternative in which the United States and the international community weren't standing up against this Russian aggression. If we allow Russia to undertake this with impunity, if we allow Vladimir Putin to get away with this, we are going to see other autocrats, other dictators around the world try to do the same. And the price of that conflict, the price of that action will be much higher than what we have asked Congress to appropriate so far.
Can the weapons we're sending to Ukraine be used to attack Russia in Russia?
The weapons we are sending to Ukraine are for Ukrainians to defend themselves, and they have proven that they are able to use those weapons effectively to do just that. We want to see to it with our security assistance that our Ukrainian partners have precisely what they need, where they need to defend themselves.
But you don't have any objections if the weapons are used to attack Russia in Russia?
These weapons are for the Ukrainians to defend themselves.
Okay.
Every country around the world has an inherent right to self-defense.
Is the goal to weaken Russia or defeat Russia?
The goal is to see Ukraine win, so that Russia, yes, will emerge in a position where it's not able to project power, it's not able to undertake something like this against its neighbor anytime soon.
In a speech last night, the British Foreign Secretary said this:
"The architecture that was designed to guarantee peace and prosperity has failed Ukraine. The world should have done more to deter the invasion."
Do you agree?
Well, we have done everything we can. We did everything we can prior to the invasion to try to prevent it.
You disagree. You say that you did everything you could.
I'm speaking for the United States. I'm speaking for our close partners and allies. I don't speak for the world.
Yeah,
now,
but Ned,
clearly,
the sanctions were not put in place before the war. There could have been sanctions before the action was taken to get inside Ukraine.
Brett, we've talked about this. Sanctions lose their deterrent power when they are put in place before an action that you're trying to prevent is undertaken.
Last thing, are you guys really worried that Russia is going to use a nuclear weapon, whatever size, inside Ukraine?
Well, we've heard a lot of irresponsible rhetoric, and this is rhetoric really that flies in the face of statements, official statements even, that we've heard from Russians as recently as earlier this year, when the Russians again said that a nuclear war is something that must never be fought and can never be won. We care much more about what the Russians are doing rather than what they're saying. So we're keeping a very close eye on Russia's nuclear facilities, its nuclear assets. At this point, we haven't determined any need for us to change our own nuclear posture, but we're watching very closely, and we've also made very clear in private and in public that any use of a weapon of mass destruction, be it chemical weapons, biological weapons, or potentially even nuclear weapons, would be met with a strong, profound response, not only from the United States, but from the rest of the world as well.
Ned Price, State Department spokesperson, we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brett.
Stuff and the part. Damn it. I did not see the part about disinformation. I was pretty sure it was on that video. I will have to hopefully... No, it's on the other video, right? I got an Elon Musk video. And then I put the disinformation part at the end of the Elon Musk, because it seems coincidental that Elon Musk is about to put out this free speech platform, so we're told, and seems cool. And now all of a sudden there's this disinformation panel, which, if anything is a disinformation panel, it's the U.S. government and the Congress, which is the U.S. government. If anything, so they're going to put out this disinformation panel, and it seems very, very timely also with this Ukrainian war thing, because you know, they don't want us, you know, telling the truth about fucking anything, especially about war. They've never wanted that. In the 2004 election, they had generally outside the Republican convention and the Democratic National Convention, which is this big thing where they vote for idiot candidates. There's usually always protesters, and the protesters are there to make sure their voices are heard. During the 2004 election, they put the protesters into what they called free speech zones, which were basically chain link cages. They said you can protest, but you can only protest over here, because they didn't want the people to be able to spread 9/11 truths. You know, they didn't want a camera seeing a sign that said 911truth.org, right? So they said, you know, they kept everybody, they moved them out of the way, and no cameras went to talk with these people. No cameras went inside these free speech zones to say, hey, you know, what's going on? What do you think about this, you know, free speech zone? And look, this is what I do, is archive news, at least back in the day. One of the things I did. You know, I never saw a video like that, where they were interviewing the protesters inside the free speech zones. So, this again is our government that some people somehow want to believe gives us fucking our rights. Okay? I pointed this out before. Our government, our rights against this piece of shit government has been something we've had to fight for and fight for and fight for. Think about the rights of women, right? Women, of minorities, right? And all these other rights. You know, the right to be able to use this medicine cannabis, right? Which according to Sanjay Gupta, sometimes is the only medicine that works. Like in the example that I showed you last week on 420 of the little girl who has 300 seizures a week. And they tried all the medication that there is. for all the pharmaceuticals. And then out of desperation, they try cannabis. And her seizures go from 300 a week to 1 a day. The doctors know this truth. The government knows this truth. And we've had to fight for the right to be able to use this as medicine. We have to fight for it. You know why? Because the big money hates the idea of cannabis being medicine. Actually, the big money hates the idea of cannabis being anything. Being smoked, because that hurts the tobacco industry. Being made into, it just automatically hurts the alcohol industry. The oil industry is terrified. These giant fucking farms that grow wheat and bullshit other products are terrified. Cannabis is so easy to grow and has so much protein in the seeds. The people who chop down trees to make houses are terrified. So we've had to fight all that big money and our government to get this simple thing that could have helped so many little kids. 300 seizures a week to 1 seizure a day is the difference between having a life and not having a life. And that includes the parents. So I don't know how to show more clearly how evil this government is. It's not just evil everywhere around the world. It doesn't just spread death and destruction around the world. There's hunger and homelessness and violence going on in this country, which is absolutely unnecessary. Except for this government benefits from us because it's just another way that they keep us divided. And they do nothing about it. They spend $30 billion in the Ukraine and do nothing about the people here. All that money belongs to you and your families. And and so does this government. And so does this country. And like I said, if we don't take it down, someone else will. You can't just let a rabid dog roam around the earth spreading disease and death and destruction. And that's who our government is. And if you don't believe it, you are a seriously brainwashed motherfucker. So you know. And I don't know how anybody can believe that our government is not a rabid dog spreading death and destruction around the world. I don't know how anyone cannot see. All you people, not you people, all you people who support the Ukrainians in this effort and can't wait for the $30 billion in aid to get to the Ukraine are fucking brainwashed, okay? That is just going to expand the war. Okay? More weapons makes the war grow bigger. It's it's the most basic math there is. You can figure this out. You really can. And that's who our government is. Instead of taking care of our people, we're murdering innocent people in other countries. And in this country, by the way. And causing this country, the children of this country, to have a less prosperous future. I want this government taken out. I want it, not for me. I don't care. I could stop this tomorrow and get a dog and go wander the West Coast eating big fat cookies, marijuana-filled cookies every day, and never think about this shit ever again. Because it's not going to affect me. I have like 15 years left, right? It's not going to affect me. It's going to affect every one of your children. Going to affect every one of your grandchildren and every one of your great-grandchildren. there's not even going to be drinking water because of this piece of shit government. 100% because of this piece of shit government, there will be no drinking water for your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. Unless, of course, they desalinate the oceans, and which is completely unrealistic. And most people don't have a clue why. But that's really not an option either. So I don't know where you think, and plus the fucking oceans are full of radiation and God knows what else. So, and the problem with desalinating water is because it builds big fucking giant mounds of salt. Salt being something that kills the soil. Okay, so you got these big ever-growing mountains of salt that we have no real way of getting rid of. So desalination is completely unrealistic. Unless, of course, we find some way to disintegrate the salt. You know, putting it basically into the atmosphere, causing saltwater rain, you know. All this good stuff that humans do, brought on by this government. Love me a nice cup of tea, though. Like I said, it's not that big a deal to me. I know that if we don't do something now, the death and destruction will expand exponentially. And it won't be just humans. There's going to be such mass extinction going on the planet. And there has been for decades. And our government doesn't take the time to act like that's important, or we can possibly do anything about it. We could at least address it as being incredibly important. Mass extinction means it's headed our direction. Okay? People cannot exist without all the other little creatures of the world. They're not just fucking things that you look at and bite you and be scared of, and they're so important. And the planet's going to die if we don't do something. So that's why I talk about this. And probably someday soon, I'm just going to get a dog and wander off down the West Coast. Because after all, it's not easy banging your heart against some mad bugger's wall, right? But it's my duty, and I think I've done a pretty good job of it. Not that I need to toot my own horn, but I really do believe I did a good job, and I'm quite satisfied by the job that I've done. I don't have to make anything else happen from this day forward. Nothing. And I'm completely satisfied with what I've done on this planet. So, because I spread the love of Jesus, my brothers and sisters. I spread the love of Jesus everywhere I can, because Jesus is the answer. Jesus is your salvation. If you do not give your life to Jesus, you have no hope of surviving, of avoiding eternal flames and pain. Right? Instead of being so focused on that, I would be really much more focused on your children's future, your grandchildren's future on this planet. Because, I don't know what's going to happen. I can only look at the direction that it's been going. And maybe, maybe you can only drive, so close to driving off a cliff before, you have to turn the wheel. Maybe. I don't know. And maybe that's, when we get so close to that cliff, maybe that's when people stand up. I hope not. Because being close to that cliff, for me, I love the view. But for everyone who comes after me, it's a very bad thing. So, and I do love the view. I've told you guys this. I no offense. I look forward to nuclear holocaust. I think it would be so beautiful. That being said, I don't want it for you and yours. So my selfish wants and needs and desires shouldn't be taken out on you and yours. So, and that's the whole point of these war profiteers going to prison and their families living destitute and in disgrace, is because, what brings me pleasure, what makes my life complete, should not hurt you and your family. And not that nuclear holocaust would make my life complete, although it would be a hell of a way to go out, right? I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I love the idea of nuclear holocaust. I think nuclear holocaust would be beautiful. Like I said, it's one hell of a way to go out. So, but that being said, again, I don't want to bring death and destruction upon you and yours. So it's not something that I'm pushing for. In fact, I'm pushing the exact opposite direction, even more so than maybe you who have you and yours to look out for generations to come. I don't have that. And still I'm pushing hard the other direction. I look forward to nuclear holocaust, and still I'm pushing the other direction, because you and yours and the future of everyone else, including this amazing blue-green jewel, is more important than me having a magnificent send-off from this planet. I honestly, I figure I've always figured the way that I would go is just to wander off in the woods somewhere. I mean, that seems perfect, right? But nuclear holocaust, oh my God, that would be like a send-off of all send-offs. And it's like, no, we can't leave without you, Mike. Let us all come with you. You're all welcome to come with me. Let's go party. Honestly, that's the way I see it. But I probably am suffering from some type of psychosis. Puff, puff, puff time. Good idea, my darling. This one's for Jackie Cat. I don't know. Did you donate, Jackie Cat? This one's for Jackie Cat because she donates constantly, and she shows up and is just a wonderful spirit that she shares and makes the world a better place with. So this one's for Jackie Cat, regardless if you donated or not. If you did, thank you very much. Otherwise, thank you very much. So let's heat this sucker up. Who's ready for a fat puff? And then we take down the government. I don't know. Is it wrong of me to think that nuclear holocaust would be a beautiful way to leave this planet? Is that wrong? Is it only me that thinks that? I mean, the war profiteers can't think that, because if that happens, they stop profiteering. And if they wanted to stop profiteering, they would have done that already. That's not what they want. So that's one way to get the profiteers to go to hell, right? And it's what they deserve. And their families deserve it. It's not so much that their families deserve it. Their families could be genuinely nice people. But the war profiteers deserve to know that their families are living in disgrace and destitute because they were evil motherfuckers that did evil on this planet and to humankind. And that's why I want them held accountable. Not that it matters to me, but I just want better. I want better for you and yours. I don't want to leave all these evil pieces of shit in charge. They have to go down. They have to be put down. And we have to be the ones that do it. Maybe someday my voice will resonate amongst the people. And we will take this government back. And take this country back. And take this planet back. Because that's what freedom of speech and the inalienable right to defend yourself. Right? We recognize these truths to be self-evident. Right? The government's not giving this. We have this, and that's the reason that we have it. Because without freedom of speech, without the ability to communicate the way we see fit, there is no hope of overthrowing this government, of taking down this rabid dog government. And that's what this disinformation panel is all about, is silencing dissent, is saying, when I talk about $30 billion in weapons, aid being shipped over to the Ukraine that's going to expand the war, which should be obvious to all of you, that could be labeled misinformation, disinformation. And you could be kicked off of YouTube. You could be silenced. You'd be kicked off of Facebook. You kicked off of, I don't know, put in jail because you're spreading information that might somehow harm humanity. You mean like that there's a deadly plague and we have to shut down the entire economy because we stole the election, and if we just let people wander around free, that they might actually come get us and throw us the fuck out of this bullshit rabid dog government because we really crossed the line by stealing an election and the people aren't going to stand for it? Again, like I was saying, shut down all the cannabis stores in Washington State. Shut down every single one and see what happens, you piece of shit government. I dare you. They shut down the dispensaries in California and had to open them a week later because every politician was about to be beheaded. Do not fuck with my weed. Okay, so let's look at the video that talks about disinformation. You guys can see the telephone number on the screen, right? I don't know. I'm not looking at the screen, but I'm pretty sure it's up there. Telephone number being 805-669-6397. I'm kind of distracted by all the voices in my head talking about death and destruction and your great-grandchildren's futures. So let's play the video about disinformation panel to stop dissent in this country. That's what this is all about. At least that's the way I see it. And I've been doing this stuff with free speech for a long, long time. Here we go. Pay attention, people. Might be important.
A new effort from the Biden administration to police online content is facing some serious backlash from conservatives. The Disinformation Governance Board was created shortly after Elon Musk said he would purchase Twitter. Correspondent David Spunt tells us Republicans are already pressuring administration officials over this new directive. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. The Disinformation Governance Board set up by the Biden administration to stop disinformation or misinformation, whatever you want to call it, ahead of the 2022 midterms later this year. But critics are crying foul at the person who is running the board, the executive director. Her name is Nina Jankowicz. She's a global fellow at the Wilson Center in Washington, D.C. She actually recently left the Wilson Center, a nonpartisan think tank with an extensive foreign policy background. Critics specifically point to a past tweet regarding the president's son, Hunter Biden, under federal investigation for his overseas business dealings. The story picked up speed during the presidential debates of 2020, but were censored by several social media sites, including Twitter. In October 2020, Jankowicz tweeted, "Back on the laptop from hell, apparently. Biden notes 50 former NatSec officials and 5 former CIA heads that believe the laptop is a Russian influence op. Trump says Russia, Russia, Russia." Yesterday, she clarified that tweet. "For those who believe this tweet is a key to all my views, it is simply a direct quote from both candidates during the final presidential debate. If you look at my timeline, you will see I was live tweeting." Today, administration officials were asked about her appointment.
Is this the same individual who said the dossier was real and the Hunter Biden laptop story was false? Is that the individual who's now running the Disinformation Governance Board?
I'm not familiar with those statements.
Been reported widely.
I'm not familiar with those.
I don't have any comments on the laptop, but what I can tell you is that it sounds like the objective of the board is to prevent disinformation and misinformation from traveling around the country in a range of communities. I'm not sure who opposes that effort.
Jankowicz gave an interview to the Associated Press in 2020 where she called the laptop a, quote, Trump campaign product. We reached out to her and the Department of Homeland Security for comment, but I've yet to hear back. Brett.
David Spunt at the Justice Department. David, thank you. Later in the hour.
Right, then, Sue, we are learning a little bit more about Elon Musk's plans for Twitter.
Yeah, let's get right to the numbers that came out. Revenue missing the slowest growth in 6 quarters, and this one of the last earnings reports to come out before Musk takes over. Quarterly profit revenue and the number of daily users was on the rise. Revenue, most of it from ads, rose 16% to $1.2 billion. Again, the slowing pace is an issue. We did see the stock higher. It's starting to sink now, and while so many on Wall Street believed that, hey, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, perhaps he's not really focused on ad revenue. He's focused on freedom of speech. Well, new details that have come out from people close to the matter on those calls he had during negotiations, including with teams of banks, say he was very focused on the bottom line. Sources tell Bloomberg he floated ideas about job cuts and cost cuts and other ways to boost cash flow and monetize the platform. They say he also talked about his track record with Tesla and SpaceX and winning over bankers with his ideas on this. He pointed to his other companies as proof of success. But check out the stock chart, if you will, because all this is happening as there's a widening gap between what Musk offered for Twitter and what it's now trading at. And that indicates that many on Wall Street believe that right now there's an 80% chance that the deal goes through. On top of this, there's a new report that the FTC is investigating how Musk disclosed his purchases of Twitter shares as he amassed that massive stake in secret. And just very quickly, what does all this mean? Scott Kessler from Third Bridge Global told Bloomberg Television that his biggest concern right now, not the SEC taking a look at Musk, because Musk certainly has had his share of SEC scrutiny, but really focused on the financing. Will Musk carry through with the financing? That's a big area. Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities also tells Bloomberg that buying Twitter was easy for Musk. Fixing it, he says, it's a social media company different from Tesla and SpaceX, will be a Herculean task. And he says shareholders of Tesla and Twitter are now bearing the burden as this soap opera, his words, plays out. Back to you.
Those people are so fucking fake. And you can hear in the way that they describe the soap opera that's going on is that they're terrified, and then their fake laugh at the end. You know, look, we're making fun of him. It's funny, right? It's obvious that they feel very, very threatened by this. So it looks like all the mainstream media to me. I haven't listened to a lot of discussion on Fox News. Yesterday, Manny was saying that it's almost, if you're a free speech proponent, that you are now considered to be right wing, which is insane. And I just don't know how much more brainwashed and separated and divided the people can be to think something like that. Now, I wanted to point out on the last video, not this one about Musk and the disinformation panel. We can get to that, especially if someone wanted to call and talk about it. But in the last video with the Pentagon stooge talking, Britt Baer was asking him these $30 billion in aid and weapons that are being sent to Ukraine, as if it's already a done deal. These $30 billion that are being sent to Ukraine, can these weapons be used to attack Russia inside the Russian border? And Stooge from the Pentagon skated around the answer. And Britt Baer asked the question a second time. Okay, and he did the same thing. So again, this aid, $30 billion in weapons, I'm sorry, $33 billion in weapons. It's almost like the last $3 billion doesn't even matter because, you know, 30 billion is a big enough number. But $3 billion would really make a big difference in your life, in your children's life, in your neighborhood, in your city, town. Don't you think $3 billion would probably make a big difference in helping your neighborhood? So $3 billion is a lot. Okay, so $33 billion in weapons, because last week we spent 800 million, and the week before we spent 800 million, and the week before we spent 800 million. So 3 billion is a lot, but we're talking about 33 billion, 11 times 3 billion, which would be amazing for your community. $33 billion in weapons. Can these weapons be used to attack inside Russia? And Pentagon stooge dances around the question. Can these weapons be used to attack inside Russia? A second time. Pentagon stooge refuses to answer. Talks about how it's for the defense of the Ukraine. When obviously, this is exactly what I'm saying. This is going to expand the war. In your name, in your children's name, in your grandchildren's name. Talk about living in destitute and disgrace. This is 100% the way the offspring of this country are going to have to live. Because we're allowing this bullshit to happen. Because we're allowing them to set up disinformation boards. Disinformation, not misinformation. I saw it on the screen. Disinformation, very different. They're going to set up disinformation panels to censor the internet. That's what I'm hearing. And Americans in particular, because when China says they're going to censor the internet, you know, the world goes, okay, that makes sense. When the United States starts censoring the internet, which has been going on now for years, with Alex Jones, with the COVID, the deadly plague, with the Hunter Biden laptop, with so many different things. The Sandy Hook shooting, the Boston Marathon bombing, on and on. They want to set up a panel that says, yeah, you can't talk about anything except for the government's fucking line. Okay? You can talk about what the government says happened there, That's it. This should be terrifying to the people of this country, and honestly the world. And I'm sure it is. The only thing is, I'm not hearing a big discussion about it. I don't know. I don't really watch a whole lot of news anymore. I didn't see anything about it on the local. I've been watching the local a little bit. I don't like it either. There's too much violence on it. I don't want the violence. I don't want to take any more of the violence into me. I don't like it. It's dirty, and that's the reason that I talk about a better tomorrow, because right now it's not headed for a better tomorrow now, is it? And it's your responsibility to make sure that happens for the people that come after you. And the manatees are a perfect example, believe it or not. And that's why I talk about them, because they're this beautiful, perfect, little innocent creature, just like your children. And their lives are being quickly squashed out. And your children deserve better, and so do the manatees. So, Jackie Cat, thank you so much. Jackie Cat donated again. I'd actually take another bong hit in your honor, a second one, because I knew for sure the first time I wasn't sure. But you know what? I wanted to take one regardless for you, because Jackie Cat helps out so much, you guys. And I will get you some video of my Skywalker that I have going, and a couple of her sisters, and so you can see what I'm doing. And I'll send you a link to the feeding schedule that I'm using. Although I've seen what you grow, you know how to feed these babies, don't you, Jackie Cat? Read about the Skywalker. Read about the Skywalker. Where were we? Disinformation panel. I can't imagine a more McCarthyian, un-American, bullshit fucking, the only bastion of freedom in the world. I mean, who thinks this is a good idea? How can anyone be that brainwashed to think that information being kept from the public is a good thing, right? I'm very, very confused about that. I do not understand how information being kept from the public could possibly be a good thing. Or keeping, not just, I'm sorry, it's not how disinformation could be a good thing. It's how can, goddamn motherfuckers, okay, RT News, that's what page this is. Keeping information from the public, that's what I'm talking about. Disinform the public all you want. I've seen 7 and 8-year-olds shown news stories and asked which one is a real news story and which one is a fake. 7 and 8-year-olds can tell 90% of the time which one is fake and which one is real. The people, if you're not already too brainwashed, are actually able to decipher information if they're able to get it from, a complete discussion of, okay, so we think that this is good, and other people are saying this is good, and we have this kind of results from these people and this kind of results from these people, and and we have a discussion about it. What they're saying, is, and this is the thing about 9/11, right? They had all these people, all these experts that they came on television and talked about how the collapse happened and all the little intricacies of it, and it was all bullshit misinformation. Okay, Popular Mechanics, the magazine, I don't even know, does it still exist? The magazine Popular Mechanics, which was very, very popular, and considered to be an honest type of journalistic information, they came up with this pancake theory. And they explained in a long magazine article how the building came down, boom, 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 boom. And what happened was the first level collapsing onto the next level made the next level collapse onto the level after that. And it's called the pancake theory. And this is how the World Trade Center came down right into their own footprint, in case you were wondering. And with the new panel on disinformation, the congressional/White House panel that's going to review information on the internet and find out which ones are disinformation, and it sounds like they're going to censor that in some way or another. Which means you can't have a discussion other than it's the pancake theory. That's how the Twin Towers came down right into their own footprint. It's not that there was little explosions on the corner of the building that you could see going off that brought the building right down. And it's not that World Trade Center 7, had no planes hit it. I'm sorry, World Trade Center 7, one of the most secure buildings on the face of the planet, held the headquarters for the CIA in New York, held the headquarters for the FEC in New York, held headquarters for the SEC in New York. All of this information in those incredibly valuable, not so much to the government, but to the people. And it was all destroyed, right? Because there was a small fire in like one of the lower floors of World Trade Center 7. The building fell straight down into its own footprint. And the BBC, by the way, reported on it 20 minutes before it actually fell down, that the World Trade Center had fallen down. Go figure, right? But we're not allowed to talk about that anymore because it's disinformation. Again, even if I am saying this as if it's fact, but I don't know, it's possible that it is disinformation, but I'm spreading it honestly, believing that this is correct information. And it's not that I believe that this is correct information, it's that I have looked at a lot of what happened on 9/11, and what the government says doesn't put 2 and 2 to make 4. And then when 2 and 2 doesn't make 4, I have a lot of questions. So I'm not trying to disinform you. I'm trying to honestly share what I believe is correct information. So if I was doing this, it's not that I'm trying to somehow, they talk about it being dangerous, right? It's not as if I'm somehow trying to poison your minds. I'm trying to open your minds and see that maybe there are alternative lines of thought here. Because you're not being allowed to see any alternative voices at this point. RT News censored off of YouTube, okay? The most watched news channel on YouTube censored because of the Ukrainian war, which we keep looking at over here with our daily live cameras, checking out the beautiful sunrise coming over the Ukraine once again. And of course, there is nothing to see but death and destruction. Although, once our government has its way, I'm sure we'll see death and destruction everywhere in the Ukraine. You can count on it. Did I say thank you, Jackie Cat? You're my girl. Okay, and so again, if we can't have the discussion, if we can't have alternate sources of information, then we become weak-minded, don't we? And it very easy, not just weak-minded, in my opinion, weak-spirited, taking away not just some kind of thirst for life, thirst for knowledge, but taking away some kind of, spiritual energy and turning people into zombies. And that's the reason I come out here and try and whip up your energy, because I don't think it's that difficult to see what's happening. It's been very consistent. And maybe if I'm able to set up this vibration, which I know I have, even if it's not in the live show, I've set up an amazing vibration in the continuum. And that's why I say I'm all good, whatever happens. But when I do go away, I want you to remember me, not being, somebody who is, I don't know. I just want to be here for you. I want to share what I have to share with you. And Chris from Olympia was here earlier. I don't have any more dabs ready to go because Chris from Olympia was here earlier and I was setting him up some genetics before he took off. He got some blueberry. He got that black sugar that you grew last year. He got some red critical that Woolco grew. So I think that, and he got some train wreck and some blueberry. And yeah, I think that was it. So it was nice to see him. I was going to give him some mushrooms, but I didn't have any time to get videos ready and get the show, get everything set up to do the show. So next time he comes over, I got some mushrooms for him too. And if any of you'd like to drop by, I have lots of genetics to share with you. And if I don't have enough, I'll just have Mike from SoCal send me another couple thousand seeds and we'll share them like Johnny Appleseed across the country. Maybe I'll have him do that anyways, huh? Ooh, Mike from SoCal, you want your wrench back, buddy? Huh? You want your wrench back, Mike from SoCal? I need 10,000 seeds, which we will share with the whole fucking world. Wouldn't that be a beautiful project? I want to do that project. I need 10,000 seeds. I want to spread cannabis everywhere, all around the world. Wouldn't you like to know, Mike from SoCal, that your genetics are spread everywhere around the world? Putting smiles on the faces of the working class people that need so badly to smile. This is one of the things I've always loved about cannabis is that, and honestly, the planet is really there to enjoy, to help you enjoy your life, and I think that she does her best to do that. So, and if something's not right, don't blame her. It ain't her fault. Where were we? Let's see, smoked all my weed. Jackie Cat is wonderful. Ukraine war is about to expand. Disinformation panel. Manny called. Well, at least Manny called. That's all I'm saying. So I will bring up Project Overgrow with Mike from SoCal next time we see him. I will see how many seeds he will trade to get his wrench back. that he wants so badly. You want that wrench back? Let's start with 5,000 seeds. No, let's start with 10,000 seeds and we'll negotiate from there. Because I know he's got a fuck ton of seeds. Jesus Christ, he has fucking CDs coming out his ass. Sent me like 50 CDs. Who the fuck has CDs anymore? What am I supposed to do with these? But seeds, I know what to do with them. We will share them far and wide around the world. And your beautiful strain, I think he said it's Manituscan Thunderfuck. I think that's what he said it was. Which I know the Manituscan, it turns black, or really, really dark purple that looks like black. I had a couple of friends who grew it. Very stinky, very powerful. I would be so happy to send those seeds all around the world. Around the world, around the world. Wouldn't that be awesome? What a great project. I bet I could even get people to donate. Not for the seeds so much as for postage. Alright, so where are we at here? Oh, no way. Are you kidding me? Hello, caller.
Hello, is this Mox News?
Maybe.
No, seriously, is this Mox News?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it is?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I got the right number. This is Dr. Whisper from the chat. I just wanted to call, let you know your fucking chat is out of control. They're talking about dead squirrels getting ran over in the street, fucking all kinds of shit. They're just fucking crazy people over there in your chat. I'm just letting you know that.
Yeah, I got people for that. Thank you.
You got people for the crazy people in the chat?
Yep.
Has any mods called? You know?
Yes. Yes, they have.
Which mod called?
Jackie Cat has called. Wolco has called. Multiple times. Both of them.
Today?
Katrina has called. No,
Katrina
not
called
today. No, not fucking today. I'm
Right.
pretty sure Playground of Sound is called too.
I doubt it. That dude's a
I'm pretty
huge
sure.
vagina.
I'm pretty sure. I think Patrick is called too.
Patrick can't call because he's got a medical condition, and he says that he can't like actually physically talk to human beings anymore. Something about like I don't know. He doesn't have a tongue or something. I don't fucking know. One of those things. Yeah, but I was gonna run by you. I had a fucking new idea since you brought up Patrick. Okay, and Katrina. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but these two are lovebirds, and they're in love with each other. So I was thinking that we should start the Mox News dating show, and you can make fucking matches made in heaven, Michael. You can get people in love, you know, and change their life for the better in the world. And get these people out on a fucking date.
I am not gonna get people to join together. That's just horror. That's like being a matchmaker. You get people together, and next thing you know, they hate their lives. They hate the people they live with. They want to fucking rip their hair out and shoot the person while they're sleeping. I am not about to do that.
Wow. Dude, that is exactly the opposite of what the show is intended for. It's to fucking get people laid that are older folks, especially, that haven't, you know, got any action and probably over a decade, literally. And so, yeah, I think it could be a positive thing, you know, and I think that...
Well, good. You should go and make that happen, Mr. Dr. Whisper.
All right, we'll do it. The fucking Mox News dating show with your host, Dr. Whisper.
Nope.
Yeah.
I would never call it that, number one. So you don't have a clue.
Fox News dating show with your host, Dr. Whisper, you would never call it that?
No, the Dr. Whisper part's fine, but the other part I would not call it.
All right, so we'll Michael's Weed dating love show hosted by Dr. Whisper.
Why not Dr. Whisper's weed love making dating posting
We're trying
show?
to get people from your fucking chat that are in love with each other and fucking are desperate to fucking find a significant other. And
why would they be desperate to find a significant other? Again, that only leads to fucking misery.
Dude, listen, okay, everybody in the fucking Moss News chat is fucking single, okay?
So good for them.
Literally.
That means they don't have anybody to answer to.
That's some fucking bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
I think
Are you single, Dr. Whisper?
fucking definitely. I've been trying to fucking get Jackie Cat's pants for like the last fucking year, but she ain't having it.
Good luck with
She's
that.
She's all about that fucking.
She's got a line of
guy.
He's got a line of guys waiting for that, dude, and girls, I'm sure, women and women.
She is literally trying to get with that 00 douche mod in the chat as soon as she's trying to tap that ass.
I think that you're getting really close to crossing the line.
And so I'm thinking maybe we should, try to like see if maybe Wilco and Jackie Cat are compatible. Fucking,
I'm sure they can figure that out without your help.
Katrina could be compatible. Everybody's here in the Mox News chat. I think that we could get a large percentage maybe of people that actually get married on the Mox News dating.
Again, that does not lead to happiness, dude. I don't know why you think someone would want that. They're adults. They can figure that out on their own. Perhaps you should figure that out before you start telling other people what they should be doing.
Well, how do you know that these people aren't desperately, in need of, some love?
Get a
Something
fucking
like that,
puppy. Get a fucking puppy. You will have
Get a puppy.
unconditional love 24 hours a day. How much more love can you possibly ask for?
So get like a puppy or a blow-up doll.
Well,
One of
the
the
blow-up doll is optional. You do you, I'll do me.
I do myself every day, Michael. How about
Good.
you? Do you
That's
yourself
that's
every day?
awesome. I don't, no.
Yeah.
I used to every day, but it hasn't been every day lately.
Is it not like working properly like it used to?
No, I
back
just
in-
been gardening, and it seems a little boring.
Well, maybe you need to do some cocaine or something. Maybe fucking
No,
get it
I don't.
going.
I don't like cocaine.
Get it going like the olden days.
Don't like.
Get
Hey,
back
I
in
don't
the
have a
action.
problem getting it going. I don't have that
Fucking rub one
problem.
out.
Okay,
Fucking
thanks so
rub it
much
out.
for coming. It's really nice to hear from you. Too bad you can't discuss what we've been talking about. There's something seriously wrong with that boy. All right, now. I've been gardening. My energy's down. I need to, and I've been thinking about a lot of stuff. So you have to have a certain frame of mind. And I've been a little bit distracted. But trust me, that won't last. And I haven't been that distracted. What are we going to do now, people? Because we can't end on a stupid phone call like that. I know. Let's try this. I'm so glad that you tuned in. I hope that you will plan on doing that again soon. I'll give you a minute here to decide if you want to call, and then I guess we can all start our weekend or something. And Jackie Cat, again, I would be doing another bong hit for you, but I ran out of time. I didn't get any weed pressed. Probably the first thing I have to do when I get off the show. So, let's see. Be right back.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am? You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
All right, I love that. So I actually owe Dawn a bong hit, but I don't have any bong hits right now ready to go. But I do have a fresh joint right here. Look, there we go. A fresh joint. What is this? This is Granddaddy Purple. So it will be my honor to do a nice fat puff for Dawn, because he was so generous as to give a little something back. It's very nice of you, Dawn. I can't say thank you enough, but I'd be happy to do a big fat puff in your honor. So, in case you're wondering, this is the Granddaddy Purple, and it's a fresh one, and I'm very happy to be doing a puff for you, Dawn. And I'll tell you what, on Monday I'll do another one for you. I don't usually smoke the flowers like that. But just for you, Dawn, big fat puff off a big fat joint, because I can't say thank you enough. But I can do a bong hit. I mean, a big fat puff in your honor. One more time. Can't hold it. Woo! Good one. All right, so where were we? We were waiting for a phone call, people. Not a phone call from, you know, who. But a phone call from one of you beautiful people that would like to talk about the beautiful planet and the beautiful green, blue-green jewel, which is Earth. That made my tongue a little numb. Is that strange? Maybe it's because I'm not used to smoking the flower. I don't know. It's kind of weird though. Let's see, where were we going? Right, the blue-green jewel, which is Mother Earth. And the manatees. If you want to talk about the manatees, I would love to talk about the manatees, because again, it's a perfect example of what your children have in store, what your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, what they have in store. The manatees, this perfect, innocent, beautiful creature, just like your great-grandchildren. So, it's not a threat, it's the reality. The manatees are beautiful, and they're not going to make it. Your great-grandchildren are so beautiful. Are they going to make it? Do you know? You want to make a bet on it? What is this? Hello, caller.
I think that we really have to curtail the free speech of the manatees, because they could be planning on invading America, Mike. We have to make sure that the public discourse is regulated and overseen by sane people who guard against misinformation and disinformation. And the manatees, especially the Russian manatees, are the cause of all our problems in America at this time. Currently, as my friend Steve would say, currently the manatees are probably planning an invasion of Miami in accordance with...
Which is why we have to fight them over there, so we don't have to fight them over here.
Yeah, and if there's a big storm like a giant hurricane, maybe if we nuke it,
right,
we can knock it out, and everything will be okay.
I heard that the manatees have tactical nuclear weapons, which is exactly why we have to first strike.
Right, exactly. And they're equipped with lasers, which can
lasers
can knock planes right out of the sky, and they're endangering the whole airspace of America. So, yeah, and it all begins with words. So, misinformation and disinformation is a very, very big problem, and the Ministry of Truth is going to solve this for us. And I just heard this. Your headline is, like, as far as I can tell, Biden in Congress moved to end dissent, is very timely, because I just heard about it today. Did you hear about it yesterday, or is that brand new for you?
I just heard about it today also, and I didn't see a whole lot on it. I'm not watching near enough news to be an expert on what's going on in the news, but I saw very little on it in what I watched.
Well, it just seemed to be a psyop. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I only saw like a fucking 2-minute clip, is a black senator, probably a newbie from the left, AOC wannabe, said something about disinformation in the Spanish community and the black community, and so the DOJ, is that who it is that's doing it? No.
I didn't hear the DOJ was involved. I heard the White House and Congress.
No, there is another government agency.
Well, there's always another government agency.
And so the clip I heard was about how it's just a setup to, totalitarian tiptoe, just make another couple footsteps into not talking about how they stole the election. Everything they don't want.
Everything.
Yeah, it's the manatee's fault. So, yeah, I heard that today too, and I just got in. So I turned on Mike's channel. This is my channel, Mox News. I'm Mike, and this is my channel.
This is my channel. And you know why I say that? Because if you don't like it, go to some other fucking channel. There's lots of them.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly why you say that. And you have every right to say it. And it's your fucking channel, dude. And we're watching 8, 16 different shots of, what is that, Kiev or something?
There's a number of different spots in there. I can't tell. The writing is too small. I can't tell which ones are Kiev and which ones are other spots.
Yeah.
But we've been watching these cameras for over 60 days now, so go ahead.
I haven't seen Craig for a while. Is he working a lot? He just doesn't want to play with it?
He's so overworked, dude. He
took his ball and went home.
He's so overworked, dude. He works like overnight. On Monday, he worked overnight. He went to work at 8 p.m. I think it was before that, because it seemed like he left before the show started. So let's call it 7 p.m. And he didn't get home until 2 p.m. Tuesday. So, I mean, he's way overworked, man.
Like, got help?
A little bit. But everything falls onto his shoulders, more or less.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. That's discipline. That's Army training. It was in, what branch of the military was he in?
Air Force.
Air Force, yeah. Yeah. So, no, that's good, man. That's what you got to do if you want to fucking survive, you know.
Yeah, well, when I first met him, first year or so, he started talking about how he wanted to start a tech company. He wanted to start, and he said, "What do you think? Should I start a tech company?" And I said, "This is what I always say to people when they ask me a question like that. Should I buy this house? Should I do it?" I say, "Do you really want to? Is that what you really want to do? Do you really want to start a tech company?" And he looked at me, he says, "What I really want to do." And I said, "Well, here's what I can tell you." I said, "Whatever it is that you really want to do, you will be successful at it because you're a fucking workhorse. And you're not going to stop until the job is done." So, and that's the way it's been for him since then. So, he's a very busy guy.
Good advice, man. But, yeah, maybe someday me and Craig and Steve will have a rap contest, and we'll see who's the best.
Nope, I'm retired. Fucking, you don't want to do a rap contest against Craig. Craig will blow you straight out of the water, man.
I will blow Craig out of the fucking water, and I've never rapped in my life. This time, I'm going to blow him out of the fucking water. I'm that good.
Okay, well, Craig's been spitting rhymes for 20 years, motherfucker. He knows how to do this shit.
There's my Donald Trump image. We have the best rhymes. We can rap and tap and nap, and it'll be in the sack. We have the best rhymes.
That is not a good Donald Trump imitation, so you know. So how many seeds do you have?
In total?
Yeah.
Several thousand, I don't know.
I was wondering if you could send us like 500 of them, and then we can send them out to all corners of the planet. People who want to have seeds. Who wants Johnny Appleseed to send him a couple apple seeds?
Dude.
What?
I spent a lot of time making those seeds.
Oh, well, never mind. Did you spend a lot of time making those 50 CDs that you sent me?
Well, I don't know. I didn't send you that many. I sent you maybe a dozen, right?
I don't know. How much time you spend on those?
Well, you just going...
And how many fucking seeds are you gonna grow, man?
That's the question. It's like, every year I go into my special seed drawer, which I have one. I bet you have one too.
No, I have a seed tin. I keep them in one of those like tins with it has a panda on it eating bamboo.
I got a special seed drawer which is 5 feet from me, and it's about 3 foot high, and it's carved wood. It's all carved wood, and it's got 4 different drawers in it. And in the drawers each drawer is a bunch of envelopes marked with what year and what kind. And then every year I just mix it up. Oh fuck, I haven't seen that lemongrass for fucking 10 years. And so let's grow some lemongrass. And so, I think genetically I'm running into my inferior seed supply. So very, very soon I'm just going to buy shitloads of brand new stock I used to do Dr. Green Thumb up in Canada. Now I'm doing Seedsman, and you probably know killer seed companies that have just excellent genetics, right?
Yeah. Oh, the guy at Trump Seeds, TrumpSeeds.com, he has a blue cheese strain that he's been working on for 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know how much for a seed or 5 seeds?
He's a really good guy. Write him and see what he wants for 10 seeds or whatever. I think it was like I think it was about $40 for 10 seeds. I don't know. I don't pay for anything. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So were you saying like TrumpSeeds.com?
yeah, TrumpSeeds.com.
I'll write that down right now.
Yeah, he has. Like I said, he told me. I talked to these guys. He told me. He sent me a bunch of Bruce Banner strains and some Amnesia Haze crossed with orange cookies or something, and a couple other strains, and I asked for those strains in particular, and then he threw in the blue cheese because he wanted to make sure that I had the best of the best. So.
Well, the first few years I was growing, I was into diversity, and I had help from a more experienced grower, and so we just diversified, and this is, this orange kush, and this is, this plant, and this is that plant, and just the variety of the flowers during harvest time. And of course, the genetics and the type determine whether one type will flower a month earlier or later than another. So during harvest time, you could still have undeveloped plants while other plants are ready to pick. But if you've ever seen somebody's eyes that have never seen a very large garden that is flowering, it's pretty fucking impressive. And if you're not used to it, you bring somebody in there and they're going, oh my God, and they're looking at purple and orange flowers.
Yeah.
With only grows on Mars according to their mind,
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking amazing. I myself and every other grower has to get used to it. It takes a couple of years to get used to the fact that, fuck, this is an amazing plant, and it's beautiful, and it's pungent, and it's powerful, and it's fucking Pachamama, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's what I keep talking about. My bucket list has, this thing where I want to grow a really beautiful flower. That's what I really want to do. And one of these days, I don't have a lot on my bucket list, but that's one of the 2 things or 3 things that I have on there. And I really want to do that. So one of these days I will. Tell me, what's the biggest buds that you grow? How big are they?
Size of your arm.
Oh, we used to see the guys from Humboldt. They would bring down. They'd have buds that looked.
That when you pick it, it'll shrink to half itself.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about once it's dry.
Yeah.
The size of your arm.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the guys from when I was in high school, the guys from Humboldt would come down and they'd have football-sized buds, And I was like,
wet or dry?
Dry.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an awesome fucking plant. It's what an amazing gift to mankind.
Yeah.
And it's not tomatoes. Tomatoes don't require that much care and that much research. And I used to grow 10 different kinds of tomatoes, and I only grow Romas now. It's like, fuck, you're great for everything, and you have a high yield,
Yeah.
There's just a couple of different kinds of Romas. I don't grow all the fancy tomatoes anymore. So, and then the fact that, I work for concrete my whole life, but I really don't want to get into fucking hempcrete. I don't want to mix shit up, and I'm not trying to be a builder. I already built everything. I already built fucking planet Earth. So let other people do the hempcrete. I would like to get some hemp clothing. I used to have hemp clothing, and now I don't. So I would like to see more hemp stores open up for clothing lines,
Yeah, no, we have to turn to hemp. The cotton industry is horrible for the planet. So we really need, 50% of all pesticides used in this country are used on cotton. So if we turn to hemp, which makes stronger, softer material, then and uses almost no pesticides whatsoever to grow, we would be, we'd be so far ahead of the game. So,
and I think the hempcrete sucks carbon out of the air too.
Yeah.
At a pretty high rate. But I think the hemp clothing industry would be wise, and this is an idea that just popped in my head right now. If they just threw one fashion show with nothing but hemp clothing and beautiful girls, and boom, the whole industry would take off, and it would be all the rage. They would have hemp fashion shows in Paris and London and Istanbul, and the whole world, the whole hemp clothing industry would take off if they just did that one thing. What do you think about that idea?
I think that it should be kind of a movement. I think that if some kind of chain was either to be started, or somebody who already owns a fashion chain were to actually change it into an all hemp clothing, which I don't think there's that much design out there right now. Product that is made out of hemp. I could be wrong, but if they were to change to a nationwide chain, or to change over to all hemp clothing, that I think it would be extremely popular. Besides being stronger and softer material, it would be incredibly trendy.
It is so bitching on your skin to wear hemp pants and hemp shirts. It's like, oh my God, this feels different than cotton. This is really wonderful,
Yeah.
So. I'm just going to start making T-shirts that say "Make hemp sexy again." What was Obama's motto? Hope and change. And what was Trump's motto? Make America great again. Make hemp sexy again. And just hemp bikinis and hemp bras and hemp skirts, and because you can dye hemp blue if you want to, even though most hemp clothes are green. You can dye up. You can make yellow hemp clothes. You can make red hemp clothes. You can make fashion out of hemp, just like you can make fashion out of cotton or satin or any other material. But hemp, we would have to talk to a clothing manufacturer to see if it was harder or easier to weave into cloth. I have no idea about cloth making, but it's a beautiful fabric that feels excellent on your skin. It hangs right. It's durable. It's probably in the $100 bills, right? Isn't our money made of hemp?
Mm. Is it back there?
And yeah, it was. And you will notice that hemp was medicine. We haven't talked about the medicine, but it was powerful, powerful medicine that was readily available from multiple
I
sources.
talk about the medicine a lot, too. I had a conversation last night with the crazy lady about the medicine.
Oh, I must have tuned in right after that happened.
Oh my God, Valerie.
Because I heard the crazy lady, the one from Mississippi.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah. So yeah, I tuned in right when she was telling you were flapping your mouth. So
I do that a lot. I'm good at it.
Yeah, but somebody in the chat, I'm not going to go back, mentioned Rockefeller, and so the real, of course, Rockefeller and all the oil barons killed the hemp industry, and then you had red asphalt movies about how the dangers of marijuana, and all the blues singers are going to rape the white women, and it's like,
where are all the white women at?
Yeah, like,
that's from Blazing Saddles, if anybody doesn't remember. Where are all the white women at?
So, and they demonized rock and roll and Elvis and blues singers and marijuana. And did you ever see the movie, the guy that played Ray Charles?
Yeah, no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, well, Ray Charles, probably smoked a lot of weed, but of course he got into other stuff too. I think heroin for a long time, and so these musicians musicians use cocaine and heroin, and in England, all the lords and the ladies use cocaine, and so this whole, it's not some new thing that is new to planet Earth. It happened in the 70s. It's like, the whole British Empire was built upon the opium trade and corrupting China into...
The Coca-Cola industry was built on cocaine.
Yeah, and you used to be able to buy bottles of cannabis indica oil and, take it for your fucking gout or whatever,
Indigestion.
Yeah, whatever it was. But Rockefeller and his buddies killed that. They killed the rubber industry. They killed the hemp industry, and they demonized cannabis. And I think I feel really good. I just loaded my pipe while you were talking earlier, and I took a hit, and I've been kind of halfway stoned all day, and I'm still halfway rational. And it's a wonderful medicine, and all cannabis use. Not just recreational use, not just the medicine that cures the little kids of their symptoms and it cures cancers and stuff, but all use is medicinal use. It's medicine for your mind.
I have stories about anxiety and depression, and everyone experiences that. Everyone experiences those things, and cannabis makes it so much easier. And in fact, you're alleviated by the use of cannabis from those things. That was the whole point of the news stories that I posted in the past.
Do you have a friend now, or did you ever have a friend that didn't like marijuana and said, no, it makes me paranoid? Do you ever have a friend like that?
My neurologist just told me that. He said it does the opposite of what it does to other people. Not paranoid. He said it makes him angry. But I've known lots of people who said it made them paranoid.
Yeah, okay. That's my question. Have you ever done some thinking or postulating or hypothesizing on why some people say that they get paranoid when they smoke weed? Because I have some theories about that, but I want to hear you.
Well, I don't have any theories, but my guess would be, that it's something inside themselves. It's not an outer thing, and that there's some fear that lives inside of them, or some other complex where they might come to this relaxation and be worried that someone else might realize that they're fake or whatever. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there's
exactly. Those are theories. You just explained to me two different theories. Yeah, you got theories.
I don't. I didn't have theories until you brought it up.
I'm the theory man. Stop me when I'm passing by. I'm the theory man.
I didn't have a theory on why people experience paranoia. I'm not spending fucking time thinking about that.
Well,
I'm trying to save the motherfucking world, dude.
If the manatees smoked dope, we wouldn't have the Russian threat to deal with, Mike. But no, you're absolutely right. It's a fear of confronting their own subconscious. I think that's a quick, easy way to describe it. And I think you and we're pretty comfortable with our subconscious. I see you yelling at old ladies and talking conspiracy and all that stuff, and you got no problem with that. And I got no problem shooting my mouth off, and I'm pretty comfortable with myself in all situations. So I think that's a direct result of both age and marijuana, because a mature soul is not in fear of self-knowledge. And I think the slightly, minutely altered state of smoking or ingesting marijuana increases soul knowledge. So that's why they don't want us to smoke weed, is because we don't want a relaxed population. We don't want an awake population that can see through our bullshit, and we want to control your life. And historically, it's been an illegal drug. And Johnny Depp smokes weed, and hashish. Throw him in a Turkish prison. He smokes hashish. It's like, fuck. No, it's medicine, dude. And how come you're completely distracted
proud stoner. I don't have a problem with that. That's kind of the point. Is you know, people will act like somehow a stoner is a negative thing. But I think that if you're a stoner, it's like you were saying, you're probably, you know, more spiritual and so on. So it's a really beautiful thing. But not only that, what you were saying about it opens your mind when you become relaxed using the cannabis, and how the government doesn't want that. I think even more, as I've said in the past, it's that it connects us to the earth, and connects us to each other, and connects us to the higher spirit. And all of that fucking, like you're saying, the higher information being open to you, the higher spirit, you know, the earth. There's all this information to come from the earth that's just fucking, people have no idea. And this is why I try and talk to people, to all of us, is because as I say, connects us to the earth, connects us to each other. This is another way where we get all this important knowledge, by sharing and being connected to each other, and not being somehow paranoid that if we say the wrong thing, people are going to judge us. I think you get over that, like you're saying, partially with cannabis. It really helps that, because, you know, you're just sitting here trying to communicate and talk to people about what you see, and these other people are you know, somehow, you know, threatened by it. So that's the key to cannabis, is you know, just that's, if you have it and then the other people are threatened by information, you can almost be assured that they're not using cannabis. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's fear of your own soul is really, it's probably the worst sin. You know, it's like, that's what you're here for, is to discover your soul. And then you got another sin, which is fear of the atmosphere, which came around in the COVID era, which we're hopefully moving out of. But when I graduated high school in '76, right? So in those years before '76, I'm smoking dope. I'm emulating the hippies, you know, the full-grown hippies around me, and I'm just this little copycat dude trying to figure my way through planet Earth. And me and my brother, we built a clubhouse up in the garage, and we had Jimi Hendrix posters and black lights and all that shit. And we're up there smoking dope, and my mom goes, "Are you guys smoking marijuana out there?" "No, Mom, it's incense," you know. And then my mom would do my laundry, and she'd find 2 lids, big fucking lids, 4-finger lids in my pants, and she would put them back on my dresser. And I'm what, 16, right? She wouldn't take them away from me, or you know, if my dad would have found them, it would have been a different story. But
my mom used to take my weed and flush it.
No shit.
Yeah, when she'd find it, it was I wasn't sitting around on 2 ounces of weed, so.
And then you've heard of Terrence McKenna, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Terrence McKenna was a big advocate for altered states and plant medicine, I guess you could call it. And he was a very good expert too. I've listened to dozens and dozens of hours of his speeches and discourse, and I live in a completely New Age town, and all these dumb fucking New Agers around here. I've never had ayahuasca. I have no need to do ayahuasca, and I know Max Egan is a big proponent of ayahuasca. He was trying to talk me into taking ayahuasca. He tried to put jungle powder up my nose and shit. It's like, but the people here in this town, they say, "Oh, we're going to do ceremony tonight," you know, and it's like some sacred thing. It's like, we're going to do ayahuasca.
Well, you sound kind of jealous, dude. I mean, you know, if that's what they do, why would? It's like you doing marijuana or some other fucking. Ayahuasca is fake.
The habitual use of ayahuasca to be socially accepted in a New Age town is fake. It doesn't make you any more spiritual.
I don't know. I haven't done ayahuasca, so I wouldn't know.
Do you have a desire to?
I don't have a desire to. That doesn't mean that in the right situation I would hesitate to do it. I mean, it's not so much hesitate as I wouldn't be open to the discussion, you know?
Yeah, well, I don't have a desire to. I like my mind the way it is. I already took acid in the 70s.
People say the same fucking thing about marijuana. I like my mind the way it is. I don't want to screw it all up.
Well, they're squares, man. There's always going to be square wheels on planet Earth. Bumping along.
That's what you're doing.
No, I'm saying I live in a New Age town, and I refuse.
I live in fucking Seattle. Do you think that's not a New Age town?
What does that mean? Everyone in Seattle is crazy, Mike.
No, it means that everybody in Seattle is doing, they're all woke, and they're doing, this fucking virtue signaling. And if ayahuasca is this fucking stylish thing to do, then I guarantee you it's being done all over the place in Seattle.
Well, that's exactly my point. It's a woke and virtue signaling thing that the New Agers kind of brag about, and I already been through mind-altering drugs a long time ago.
Well, you said in the 70s, man. That was a long fucking time ago, and maybe you should consider doing a little bit of psychedelics and how much that experience might mean to you now where you're at. Because I have a 1/4 pound of mushrooms in my closet, and I guarantee you that I'm going to eat 90% of them.
Well, I do work for the FBI and the DEA, Mike. You really shouldn't have told me that. Cause
My dad worked for the FBI and the DEA. Do you think I give a fuck?
Men in black follow me around wherever I go. So my point is, I don't think there's a lot of use for stronger psychedelics in my life at this stage of my life. I've done experimenting with that shit.
You know who Roger Waters? Not Roger Waters. The director, John Waters, the director. John Waters, the director, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you know who John Waters is. I saw him do an interview about 6 months ago with the old CNN interviewer who used to always be in the war zone and shit. It's right there. But anyways, John Waters was saying that for you people that are in your 60s and early 70s, that you should really consider doing psychedelic drugs at least once, because he said it just blows out all this like psychological trauma and all the cobwebs in your brain. He said you should at least give it another shot. So I'm not saying that you should do it. I'm just saying that maybe you should consider it a little more.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. I mean, it's not like I'm opposed to hypocrisy, and so when the people in the New Age community
hypocrisy. You mean like when you smoke weed all the time, but these other people that are doing this other drug are just fake and posers, and you mean like that?
No, man.
There's no hypocrisy there, right?
Specific about the ingestion of certain substances, whether I need them in my life as an autonomous sovereign or not. So I am specific about what I eat, what I smoke, what I ingest, and how much work I do, how much rest I get. I have the right to decide those things. It's not hypocrisy.
It's hypocrisy when you judge other people negatively. That's the hypocrisy. Do what you want. Do what you want. Just don't judge other people for doing what they want. That's what the hypocrisy is. Okay?
Right. Let me take a hit of weed. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
So, what I'm talking about.
That's okay. We don't need any more detail.
Is that the ritual of ingesting the substance is not sacred. They don't make it sacred. They say it's sacred, but it's really just fashion. It's just a fashion statement to fit in. And community means common unity. So if you're the common unity in your fucking town is stupidity, I don't want to be in your common unity, you know? I want legitimate fucking authentic people, and that's a process. You got to go, you know, I don't listen to financial advice from a fucking 15-year-old. This is how you save money. You do this or that.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of very, very smart 15-year-olds, so that might be your loss. Okay, I remember when a 15-year-old was telling me to buy Bitcoins at $5 each. Okay? So maybe you should listen every once in a while. It might do you good.
And I think Steve should be the ruler of all the moderators. I'm going to say that again because he wasn't online the other night. Steve needs his blue wrench right now, Michael, because you're underestimating his capacity to lead the mods into the future and create a brand new paradigm for all the people who want to change planet Earth. Steve is one of the greatest advocates of activism and ingenuity I've ever met. And we had dinner at my house the other night, so I met him for the first time.
Lucky.
And it was currently very excellent. I don't know.
He's a very creative guy who's, you know, and to be very creative, generally you need to be pretty smart. So I think he's highly underestimated, and this is why I tolerate him. Otherwise, I would kick his ass the fuck out. Plus he needs this. He doesn't have anything else. So I'm with my big generous heart, I'm allowing him to stay.
His reports from all over the world, major show.
Okay, thanks so much for calling. Again, I was being generous because he's very creative and he needs an outlet for that, and that's not what made my show. Okay? Input from everyone is what should be making my show interesting, not one person. So that's where we're missing out, people. If we just had, and that's what I've been talking about the whole show, is if we just had dozens of callers a show, then there would be this communication in which we would decipher what it is that we really see going on. You know, and if we were open-minded, then we could have a discussion. If you didn't come to me saying cannabis is evil, well, I don't perceive Mother Nature as evil. So we're probably not going to find common ground, but I'll be happy to talk with you about it. So, you know, and that's how you know, sharing information back and forth is another way that we see eye to eye and become closer. And we get a more complete picture. And this is the reason that they don't want you to hear from RT News, again, the most watched news channel on YouTube. They censored that. It's no longer available in this country. They don't want you hearing from them because there can't be any alternative views, alternative opinions, alternative information. This is why we have to create the Department of Disinformation. They call it a panel now, but you know, I can easily imagine it becoming the Department of Misinformation, can't you? I mean, this is way too much work for a panel. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mike.
What's up, G?
Thursday.
Okay.
Hey, I'm doing good.
Right on.
Yep. Yep. The mighty I-5 that runs the bloodline that runs all the way up and down the West Coast, but it was tame tonight, and I made very good time, so I was happy.
Nice. I love it when that happens.
You know, it was a great drive, actually. It was really, these clouds were just hanging and layered as the sun was setting, so I saw all these different peaches and purples, you know, and variations of blue and gray. So, yeah.
See, you need to eat more cannabis. See, that's all I'm saying.
It's true, It's true, and I'm looking at this cookie here that I will have, or half of it, with my coffee tomorrow, and I'll give you updates.
No, eat the whole
it,
cookie. Eat the whole cookie with your morning coffee.
All right, I'll try that. And I think it did actually help me with driving, to be honest with you, because, I mean, even though the landscape was really beautiful, there are just some crazy people on the freeway tonight. And I definitely was more like, I don't care, I'm just going to relax and let these people be crazy, which I think is the right approach when you're dealing with really
that, or you can get all fucking aggro. You know, you can either be chill and enjoy, or you can get all aggro. And what is that going to help you? How is that going to help you in any way?
Probably not help you very much. But it's always, you know, important to realize that, you know, 1 out of 5 people driving is medicated with some kind of psychotropic drug from the pharmacy and is zoned out. So whether you ate your cannabis in the morning or not, it's always good to be a defensive driver. I always try to be a defensive driver.
Right, and that's one of the things that they've shown in studies about people who use cannabis and then drive, is that they become much more defensive. They become much more aware. They don't want to have a problem. So mostly people drive very robotically, but when you're using cannabis, according to the studies that I've read, is that you're very conscious about all the things going on around you, and relaxed, and making sure that you judge those things correctly and make happen what you need to make happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I tend to drift into the left lane, the passing lane. That kind of tend to drive a little fast, not really fast, but a little fast. But I realized tonight the reason why I like to do that is because I can give myself a really large distance between me and the person in front of me and the person behind me, you know, and it's easy to do in that lane. And then there's aggressive drivers who don't understand that boundary, or they just want to go they honestly want to go 20 miles over the speed limit, and those are the people you have to be careful of. Some of them are good drivers, but many of them aren't. Anyway, the story of driving, everybody knows that story. Paranoia, though? Paranoia.
But just let me say, I think it's pretty obvious, just in the short time I've been talking to you, how important eating cannabis is to you. Go ahead.
All right. So paranoia, I think for myself, and growing up in a time when cannabis was illegal,
highly illegal,
and it was on the black market, that you had to always be paranoid a little bit, just to be rational about where you were buying your drugs from, which cops were watching you, you know, all of that. I've had many experiences in my life, you know, moving drugs from one place to another place, or having drugs in my pocket and having to interact with the police, or just being afraid of somebody infiltrating some group so they can bust somebody. And that's one reason why I think that's part of the idea of you get really high and then you're paranoid a little bit. I mean, that's what I think of it when I think of, oh, you're paranoid. Or Mike said, maybe paranoid of your mom and dad walking in the room, oh my God, are they home? You know, teenagers, when they're smoking cannabis, they may be concerned about somebody else knowing that they're high, when they conceal the fact that they're high.
That is certainly a possibility, but mostly what you see is teenagers giggling their ass off and not really caring about their parents a whole lot. It's been my experience, at least.
I think that smoking cannabis makes people have tangential thinking, where they're able to make abstract connections between things that a lot of times they might not be able to make those connections. Say, and that is frustrating to people who don't smoke cannabis, because they see those thoughts as non sequiturs. I can't explain to you how many times in my life people have said, you know, you just said a non sequitur, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like they say, well, what you just said had absolutely nothing to do with what was just said 5 seconds ago, right? I'm like, come on, you know, associative thinking, don't you know what that means? It's associative thinking. It's a good thing, right? Anyway, so there's prudes in the world who are afraid of thinking outside of the box.
There's a lot of prudes. There's a lot of prudes in the world. A huge percentage.
The last time I did acid was, I think I may have even told you that I went out to the woods by myself in the Olympic Forest on a hike by myself.
Yeah, that wasn't very long ago, right?
Yeah, that was last spring or last summer.
Yeah, you did tell me about that.
Yeah, and I had a chance to reflect on things from different levels on my hike. It was all really beautiful. I didn't see a person for like a couple days, and that was, a sacred space. Like, I think Mike is right about that. Like, you should create some kind of a sacred space. But I've also done acid in the last year in my living space where I live, and you can make that a sacred space as well. Like, what you're thinking about or how you think about things, you can make a special space, like, for that activity. It doesn't have to be super intricate, but just like something away from like normal civilization, to recognize the fact that, like, you are under the influence of hallucinogens.
I think that you can make a sacred space pretty much anywhere. That's what I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I try to stay away from a lot of people, though, when I'm on psychoactive substances.
Yeah.
Typically.
I don't try to do a whole lot. I just flow.
So I would highly recommend that Mike from Southern California, whatever, makes space, maybe with a guitar or a pen and pad or some paint or something, or his gardening, and take some acid in a really, positive environment. And I agree with you. I think it does help take the cobwebs out of the mind, and then you have a day of like relapse where you're kind of down for the day, but then like the next day you just have a completely kind of more positive attitude about things, where you're just like, wow, your brain is just like kind of turned on a little bit.
Yeah, it's every day I talk about it being a perfect Northwest afternoon, and it's because that's actually pretty much how I perceive things. It doesn't matter rain or shine. If the rain isn't another perfect Northwest afternoon, then you moved to the wrong goddamn place, because the rain is a perfect Northwest afternoon, in case you're wondering. But I think that's kind of what you're talking about, is that when after you've done it, like you said, you have kind of a down day where I always used to like go all night long, and then we go to like a farmer's market in the morning, and we just kind of look at all this stuff and have a cup of coffee, and then go home and just sleep for the next 12 hours or whatever. But then the next day, like you're saying, you have it's like what I'm saying. It's like, there's this understanding of stuff is perfect. Stuff is right the way it is. And before you did this, everything was wrong and stuff was stupid. But now it's like, you know what? I have this center, and I understand so much more what's happening around me. And it's not all negative. It's not all aggro. I'm just bringing, focusing too much energy on that part of it. There's so many other things to be paying attention to.
Well, I don't know. I think there are a lot of different situations in my life where I was on acid, where I kind of wish maybe I wasn't on acid. Mm-hmm. So I mean different trips that people have, right? And on that score, again, like kind of like spaces that are more like safer spaces or sacred spaces or controlled spaces are, can be advisable. Although, like I tripped at a Grateful Dead concert in 1988 or 1989, and that was a great experience with like lots of people tripping around me, real positive experience.
I bet there was lots of people around you tripping.
Yeah, but I also was on this activist tour where we were demonstrating against like nuclear power plants, and we were going to these different places in the Midwest. And like the third day in, I took some acid and ended up being in a really weird, awkward situation, like on a U.S. military base with like strange people walking up to me and saying, "Oh, why are you here this afternoon?" "Oh, I'm here to oppose nuclear weapons, but I had taken acid earlier in the day and was completely disoriented. And I probably should not have taken acid earlier that day. And there's a couple of other situations like that. So, I mean, the thought of it being a recreational drug, it's not really just a recreational drug. It's like a drug where you really have to allot time for, you know, mushrooms too. Just, you know, there's space for it.
You reminded me of Fear and Loathing. After they cook all the acid, Hunter Thompson is like, I decided to take all the acid, half the acid at first, but then tragedy, and he like spilled the acid all over his hand, and he's just like licking it all up and stuff. I think that it's really a good thing for humans. You know, I think that you do need to be in a proper space. I don't think it needs to be a sacred space. I personally have, like you said, done concerts. I took really good LSD one time, and we went to the University District, and we watched a movie on this little tiny theater with a big screen, and it was Hemp for Victory, and then we walked like 15 miles around the city, and it was just amazingly beautiful. Like, we walked along Lake Union, and there was just like all these amazing clouds and lights, and you can see the city in the distance, and oh man, it was fucking amazing.
Were you tripping with other people, Mike?
Yeah, I had one other friend who came up from California, and he brought the LSD with him.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a comrade, to be tripping with. Like, one of my experiences, I went to a bookstore. I was working at a bookstore, and I started too late. I started like at 3 or 4 in the morning. So by 7:30 or 8 in the morning, I had to get on the train and go to work. And I went to work, and it was the springtime, and I remember standing at a cash register and having this mom and her daughter come up to me with these children's books that they were buying. They were buying these children's books. And it was so emotional for me that I could barely finish the transaction. I'll take your money. That's a really good book, but I was tripping my brains out, right? And my manager pulled me aside. He's like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm like, I don't know if everything really is okay. I think I might need the rest of the day off of work. And then instead of taking the train back home, I walked past about 4 or 5 miles through Chicago by myself, past Wrigley Field, just tripping past all these different old neighborhoods, just tripping my brains out. And it ended up being a positive experience. But again, I probably shouldn't have taken acid 4 hours before I had to go to work.
Maybe, but then you wouldn't have had your wonderful experience walking through downtown Chicago or whatever.
Yeah, it was a good walk. I remember the walk. But and the people at the bookstore were cool. They were all cool. Every one of them the next day was like, right, I know what was happening to you yesterday. They had a sense of humor about it, and that was cool. And but those are fellow travelers, other people who have taken acid.
Yeah, people who are around a lot of books, who are drawn to that sort of thing, like a bookstore or something. Not necessarily shoppers, but people who work there, generally speaking, would be somewhat knowledgeable people. And knowledgeable. The more knowledgeable you are, the less judgmental you are.
Yeah, they're open-minded people.
Yeah.
A couple of stories, you were talking about censorship. That's what the tag was for the program tonight. Is that right? Biden and Congress moved to end dissent in America. Was that about the Department of Homeland Security creating a new governance board?
Yeah, new disinformation panel.
Yeah, I was just reading about that. That is fucking crazy.
That's McCarthyism at its worst.
It is McCarthyism, and it's also the person that they're going to put in charge of this.
You're totally digitizing.
Hold on a second. Is that better?
Yeah.
Better. Okay, great. So this person's name is Nina Jankowicz, right?
Yeah.
She's going to be the person in charge of this new outfit over at Department of Homeland Security. And her resume kind of reads a little bit like what you would expect a CIA agent to read, right?
Yeah.
Like, just think about this.
Yeah, her resume is really fucked up. Go ahead.
A global fellow at the Wilson Center, an author whose research focused on disinformation as well as Russia and the treatment of women online. According to the center, she studies the intersection of democracy and technology in Central and Eastern Europe, and was an advisor on strategic communications to the government of Ukraine during her time as a Fulbright Clinton Public Policy Fellowship. She's written a book, How to Lose the Information War, Russia, Fake News, and the Future of Conflict. She's published articles in the Washington Post, the Atlantic, and the New York Times, and she also managed democracy assistance programs for Russia and Belarus at the National Democratic Institute for International Affairs. She has an MA in Russian, East European Studies, and so forth. And she graduated from Georgetown University School of Foreign Service. But that's like the resume of a CIA agent,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
That's what the resume looks like, right?
Yeah.
Intersection of democracy and technology in Central and Eastern Europe. What does that fucking mean? It means what? She's hooking up like Twitter and TikTok and all these other social media platforms with proper information, and is monitoring and censoring dissidents in those countries, and is inciting violence in those countries, and is supporting political parties that are favorable to the United States, like an information agent, like, you know, that's so this is like another step towards fascism is what this is. That's what all it is. It's kind of troubling.
It's very troubling. Every single person who loves the idea of freedom of speech should be extremely fucking agitated by this. This is, again, you missed out on the show, but I've been talking about nothing but this government being a rabid dog that must be put down. And this is what the Dissent thing is all about. This is what the Department of Disinformation is all about, is making sure that that's not possible, because, number one, we're all divided, and a Department of Disinformation should really concern you, because that sounds like they're there to disinform you. It's headed this horrible place, and if we don't do something right away, we're fucked. Or not me, but your kids are.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Caitlin Johnston is an Australian writer, and she pointed out today that the company PayPal has blocked multiple alternative media figures critical of U.S. empire narratives. So PayPal, right, is where people give money to other people, and it's a way to distribute money from one person to another person. And it isn't really political necessarily, right? But they have blocked.
They took all Julian Assange's money. That sounds pretty political to me.
Well, they just recently they have blocked Caleb Maupin, who was an RT journalist. He's a writer, and also Mint Press News had their what does it say? It says they've been banned from using the payment service, so that online content creators have come to rely to help them to crowdfund their work. Okay, but Mint Press News just hired Lee Camp from RT News, so RT was banned, right? And he just the other day, like a week ago, got a permission from Mint Press News to have a video comedy sketch program on Mint Press News, and now just like 3 days later, Mint Press News loses its PayPal account.
This is the information war, people.
So they will not let Lee Camp or people of his ilk who are critical of American militarism and American empire. They will not let them speak on any platform, and they follow them. And when they find a place to land, they hatchet that place.
Yeah.
Another good example of that was like Chris Hedges at Truthdig. The Democrats hatcheted truthdig.org by manipulating the owner. So she literally just fucking got rid of the whole magazine like in a week.
Yeah.
And all of these writers, including Lee Camp and Chris Hedges, lost their jobs. They ended up landing at RT.
Yeah.
But then they all lost their jobs a month ago when RT quit, and now they're chasing them to these other platforms. And so I don't know, that's just fucked up. And it's
again, this is the information war, okay? And if you don't understand what's happening here, you better figure it out, because soon all the information is going to be pasteurized, and that's all there is. There isn't any alternative voices whatsoever. That you can see this.
Or analysis.
Yeah, you can. Right, analysis equally is even more important. So.
No voices.
Yeah.
So the other story that, besides all of the censorship going on, that I saw today was that the president just asked for $33 billion for a war chest to support Ukraine. And Zelensky, the president, this is according to Reuters, British news service, Zelensky says that he wants really quick approval. But $33 billion, let's put this in context. Last year, they got allotted $3.5 billion, of which they spent $2.5 billion. So $3.5 billion just for little old fucking Ukraine and their war. That's what we've given so far. Now Biden is planning to up that by a factor of 10, $33 billion, including $20 billion for weapons, ammunition, and military assistance, plus $8.5 billion in direct economic assistance to the Ukrainian government, $3 billion in humanitarian aid, intended to cover the war's effort through September, the end of this year. So they're willing to continue fighting this war against Russia until at least September.
And you know they'll want more money way before then. Go ahead.
Also, according to Reuters, Biden's proposal would allow Americans to steal more Russian assets given the cash from those seizures to Ukraine, and further criminalize sanctions dodging. So, and the other thing that was weird is the Justice Department will start using racketeering laws once deployed against the mafia, the racketeering, influence, and corrupt organizations, the RICO Act, like from The Godfather, to build cases against people who evade sanctions. Biden also wants to give prosecutors time to build such cases by extending the statute of limitations on money laundering prosecutions to 10 years instead of 5. He would also make it a criminal act to hold money knowingly taken from corrupt dealings with Russia, according to a summary of legislative proposals. So that's what the president put forward today, $33 billion. Later on in the article, it says that that amount of money, the $20 billion in weapons that they're going to give to them, that represents 1/5 of the entire Ukrainian GDP, their whole goddamn economy. We're giving them 1/5 of their whole economy in weapons in like one transfer, like that.
I was talking about this earlier, and it's pretty obvious that money could be spent much wiser in this country, and those weapons are only going to expand the war. That's their intent, is to make the war bigger. Because if the U.S. hadn't been involved at all from the beginning, this shit would be done.
Yeah, and if they would have listened at all, they could have diplomatically solved the problem on day one, when they recognized where it was going. But they don't really give a fuck whether Russian soldiers or Ukrainian civilians or Ukrainian soldiers die. They're not concerned about that. It's about how much power they can have in the world, and about their weapons manufacturers. How much money can they make?
Yeah.
Really fucked up individuals.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the day, though, when Chinese and Russian people and people in like Central America and South America start seizing American assets for war crimes committed by the United States in Iraq and in Afghanistan. So, I mean, I don't know if this is the rule that they're going to do. America is going to arbitrarily steal shit from people around the world because they believe that they're doing bad shit in another place. That sets a precedent where any other country in the world thinks that, oh, USA just did bad shit for like 35 fucking years, here, here, and here. We're going to take all of their rich people's stuff, and it's ours now. I'm waiting for that to happen. And it's going to happen soon.
That's what I was talking about that earlier too. We're the ones who have to put down this rabid dog government, because if we don't, some other government has to. They don't have an option. When you have a rabid dog running around, it's not like, oh, that's my puppy. No, you shoot it in the fucking head, because that's what has to happen. Otherwise, it's going to spread disease and hurt people.
Well, you start, I think, by yelling at the dog, really, so the dog knows what you're saying, and then you slap the dog if you have to.
If it has rabies, you don't do that.
Well, there you're right. You don't. So you're right. So if it's an irrational fucking actor,
out of control, gonna hurt somebody, dog, you shoot it in the fucking head. Okay, and that's the fact. So,
I fundamentally agree with you about this, but as it goes, I don't see it happening, man.
Yeah.
That is what needs to happen.
You know what?
Other countries, they don't have a choice. Like you said, they don't have a choice. Like the people who live in eastern Ukraine, who've been fighting a war for 8 years against fascists supported by NATO and the United States, they don't have a choice. They've been fighting the war for 8 years, and in the last couple of months, the government of Russia came to their aid so that they can at least have their own autonomy. And that's what happened. And they said, fuck it, that's what we got to do. So they were pushed to a place where they had to do something. Now, the American public is still, dawdling over whether they should have, Joe Biden or Donald Trump be president.
Well,
they're spending all of their taxes on war.
They seem to be overwhelmingly in support of Ukraine. I find it very difficult to believe. In fact, I find it much easier to believe that this is some kind of a psychological operation, that the U.S. people are in overwhelming support of the Ukraine, because I just think that the people understand that, we don't have the ability to be doing this shit anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating their.
I don't know, but so on the drive home tonight, I listened to the classical radio station from Seattle. It's like 98.1 or something.
KPX, KPEX, or something. KPX,
or
KP.
King, or I don't know. I can't remember what the call letters are, but it's the classical station in Seattle. And they had a break, and then the announcer was saying, "Yes, there is a special concert at blah 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 hall tomorrow with new music, not old music, of Ukrainian origin, and all proceeds will be sent to the Ukrainian Affairs Programming Center from the government of Ukraine." And this is like being broadcast to all these, whatever, middle-class people who are listening to classical music, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't tune into the radio station to hear, fucking Ukrainian propaganda. I turned into the radio station to hear some music. But at every single level, is what I'm saying. It's not just on the news,
right?
But whether you listen to music, or whether you watch television, or whether you go out to the store and you talk to somebody, that all those situations are being manipulated to kind of create this impression that there's Russian fucking spies under the bed. There's Russian spies in your computer. The Russian government wants to kill you because they're evil. The fucking Russian president is a reincarnation of Adolf Hitler, and that's fucking hilarious considering 27 million Soviets died, fighting Adolf Hitler.
And if there's any government on your computer, for sure, it's the U.S. government. And you should all know that by now. Okay? Hey, I got to take a break, Chris.
Yeah, Mike, have a good night. Again,
okay.
Thanks for the edibles, and I'll give you updates on the feed.
Okay, cool. We'll talk to you later. Okay, I'll be right back. Enjoy this clip.
You got it, buddy! Good job, Boo Bear!
Propeller tail.
It's a propeller tail. He doesn't usually do that.
Oh, now it's all wet.
Good job, Bubba. You got it, buddy. What a good Boo Bear. What a good Boo Bear. You're my beautiful baby, Bubba Bear. You're my beautiful baby. You gonna bring it all the way up? You gonna bring it all the way up here? Come on, all the way. All the way. What a good boy. What a good Boo Bear. Take a piss. Time for another round. Oh, don't roll in that water. Other doggies pee over there. All right, ready to go down to the next one? Ready to go down to the next one? Ooh-sha, sha, sha. Ooh-sha, sha, sha. Ooh-sha, sha, sha. Careful, there is somebody fishing right down there by the next one. I think we're okay, yeah. Just gotta watch out for the fisher dude. How you doing, Boo? Huh? Good swim? Good swim? Yeah?
I got the ball.
Come on, we got a ball. Let's go.
I got the ball.
That did not look like a limpy dog, but hopefully he won't jump too much and hurt himself in the process. It's the after effects that bother me. You're never sore during the football game, just afterwards.
There's a wire over there. See the wire netting right there? Right at the base of the tree right there. The wire netting, you can't see it?
I can't, no. Is it out in the water? Oh yeah, maybe they're trying to put the...
Those are my beautiful babies. They look so happy, don't they? All right, you lovable, beautiful ninjas. I am, oh, what's this? Oh, Chris's telephone number was still up there. It's weird, half of the time the phone doesn't hang up. So I'll give you another minute in case anybody else would like to call. I'm getting very hungry. So, and we didn't have any more donations. We got one from Dawn and one from Jackie Cat because they're very, very nice and generous. And I can't thank you both enough. So I don't owe anyone else a puff, although I would love to owe you a puff. Actually, I still owe Dawn one. It's dabs for donations, and he didn't get a dab, so we'll have to do that on next week. Because I didn't press any weed because we were busy this afternoon late, and I just didn't have time to make it happen for the show. I'm going to go do that now, so I can have a nice fat dab after dinner. So I guess we do this every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back on Tuesday, same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until then, stay cool, because it's just a lot easier that way. Trust me when I say this. Stay cool, because it's so much easier. All right? Talk with you soon.
I'm going to show you my invisible mask.
Very serious.
This is my invisible mask for Stacey Abrams. Ready? I'm going to put it on. It's on. It's great. All right, Carol. Last word here. Okay, I'm going to show you my invisible mask.
Very serious.
This is my invisible mask for Stacey Abrams. Ready? I'm going to put it on. It's on. It's great. All right, Carol. Last word here.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories, 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they